the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering do or die around me. You say your last good night while I get
Prayer is another very important phase of warfare. It has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
The target of psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
The ammunition used by Psywar.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldier, and at the same time
is expected and encouraged to study foreign languages and the social sciences such as history, economics, and sociology. He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
gripping at my skin, the walls of night close in.
But the use of this force as an integral part of combat has now taken on new form.
My last goodbye.
next generation of warfare, psychological warfare. In modern conflict, the mind is a potent weapon. Discover General Michael T. Flynn's groundbreaking guide, The Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare. Unlock tactics, strategies, and the mindset to navigate this cognitive battlefield that we all find ourselves in. Equip yourself against manipulation and emerge unscathed. Unleash your potential. Order now.
Wow. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the AlphaWarrior Show. I'm your host, Alpha. It is Monday night, April 27th, 2026. A conversation with just Alpha. Everything changes. And, you know, I do the intro music. If you're watching on YouTube, you guys don't get to see that because trying to avoid those copyright issues over there. Miss Red Freedom Fight. Alpha has a 12-minute intro. I do because it helps to let everybody kind of hang. It's like a pre-show party. I'm right there. I monitor the chat, make sure you guys are all having a good time. At the same time, it buys me time to check all the different platforms, make sure we're good to go. And then this lets me get focused. And I think that's the most important part. Give my quick little prayer out there and get focused. The teaser trailer tonight that we saw, Fourth Psyop and Ghost in the Machine Part 1. It intentionally sets the mood for the show tonight. It's going to be a long show. I don't think anybody expect any different. If this is your first time viewing Just Alpha, make sure you got some snacks and a couple drinks because these Monday night shows are long, but we cover a lot of good stuff, and tonight will not be any exception to that. But one thing I want to make sure that we communicate from the patterns that I've recognized that are out there to the conversations that I've had to have with certain people to different types of group that I'm in for messaging purposes and briefs. What I can tell you guys, the inevitable, and I associate with a bunch of groups that don't even, they don't like each other, don't agree with each other. But the one thing that I think everybody understands, the inevitable, is that we are approaching the intense part of the war. There's no doubt in my mind that from now to midterms, it is going to be a wild ride. And what exactly does that look like? I mean, we have 4th of July right around the corner, 250. That's a big one. And we know Trump doesn't want the 4th of July on the 250th anniversary to be wrecked. I think we all understand that. Trump is a showman. However, Trump also understands that it's the sake of the nation, humanity actually, that's at stake right now. And if he has to walk public perception into, well, nothing can get too crazy. We got to celebrate July 4th, right? Right? Then I will respect his move when it comes to that. But here's the thing, folks. The deep state is starting to implode and collapse. And we're going to start showing, I'm going to show some evidence of that tonight. You all know, obviously, we have the escalation of another attempt on President Trump, and we'll briefly touch on that tonight as well. If you guys want to get my full deep dive into that, you can watch Q After Hours. Covered that at length last night over there. That's on Badlands if you want to watch it. But the one thing, all day today, and as I was prepping for the show over the last few days, the one thing that I recognize is just it's right here. And it goes back to my military days. It goes back to my law enforcement days. I knew when a battle was being forged in my future, even up into the FBI raid. And that's a story for another day. And that has been sitting on my chest lately. Now, with that, I also want to express that none of it has been a concern or a worry of losing. But what cost? And that just depends on how prepared we are for what's coming. And so tonight's show is going to definitely try to touch on a lot of that. You know, are you guys ready for the Obama arrest? Get a hell mother effing yes. Fire those chats up, folks. Are you ready for the Obama arrest? That's going to be a good one. Trump has cleaned the chessboard and put on some new chess pieces. We're going to talk about that. Military intelligence. We're going to get into a soundbite from General Kane that's just fire. And then again, the deep state ops are collapsing. I got a bunch of notes here on all kinds of different things. The title just ain't long enough to cover all the main themes. Southern Poverty Law Center. You know, the shills are turning on the shills. There's a lot. And we're going to get into that. So with that, let's get into our first ad and then it's showtime. But fire up the chat, folks. Do me a solid. Hit the heart, smash the thumb, and share this out there. And let's get this audience. We're almost to 1,000 on Rumble already. So with that, let's give Rumble some love. Rumble Wallet, folks. They can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters more now than ever. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place. No permission, no middleman, no cancel button. And when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, like this guy, you can use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference. This isn't a credit line that they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently. Yours to protect your future, yours to protect your family. And when the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom. You'll see that link in the live chat if you're watching on Rumble. If you don't see a QR code on the screen, that's because you're not over here on Rumble. And if you're watching the replay, you'll also see that link down in the description. Folks, it is showtime. Let's get into this episode. What are we on? Like 542 from regular content. So let me bring this up on the screen right here. And forgive me for the background noise if you guys are hearing that. I apologize. Let me bring this up here, adjust myself over here. And actually, let me correct something. We're going to go to 2 more commercials and then we'll come back to this. You'll like it.
Science proves that a healthy immune system is the body's first defense against the smallest of ailments to the most catastrophic. Coriolus versicolor is the most sought-after, all-natural supplement for both humans and pets to help boost the immune system. There are over 400 studies worldwide on its effectiveness in humans, including Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, MD Anderson Cancer Center, and now from the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine. Together, we can help reverse this terrible tide now plaguing your loved ones and give them the immune-boosting supplements that they need.
If you're constantly battling low energy, cravings, weight control, watching your health slip away, listen up. There's a simple daily protocol they don't want you to know about that's helping people ditch their meds and reclaim their health. Up to 88% of Americans potentially suffer from some degree of insulin resistance. The Feel Great Protocol is a simple 2-step daily system designed to help your body work with you, not against you. Step 1, Unimate, a powerful yerba mate extract clinically shown to boost mood, increase mental clarity, and support fat burning. Step 2, a patented fiber matrix called Balance. Taken before meals, it helps regulate blood sugar, curb cravings, and support healthy insulin response. That's it. No crazy diets, no meds, just science-backed support your body actually understands. Feel Great is perfect for you if you have low energy, weight control, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, poor sleep, diabetes, snacking, sugar cravings, gut health, systemic inflammation. This isn't a trend, it's a transformation. Start today to reclaim your health with the Feel Great protocol.
So, and of course, I'm still little right here. Sorry, folks, I had to yell at my teenager. You know, Murphy's Law, they got all day, and they just want to make noise when it's time to go live. Now, let's try this one more time. Man, this season of Earth is crazy. I would imagine that if you subscribe to the idea that there's some aliens out there, this is probably what they're thinking. Like, yo, do we go down there? These people are, they've lost their damn mind down there. It's definitely crazy, and it's going to get crazier. I wanted to at least break up everybody's concerns. You guys know I'm not the black pillar. I'm not for that. I don't like that. I'm 100% about, you know, showing the truth, talking about the truth, addressing the concerns. I'm not about, you know, putting our heads in the sands and pretending things don't exist. But I'm not going to black pill. I'm not going to destroy your morale. We are fighters. We are physical warriors. We are digital warriors. We are spiritual warriors. Like this is all happening now because our creator, my God, the guy, the big dude up there that we believe in, he knew that this was the best part of humanity, to fight the war for humanity that's about to unfold. How can you not feel fired up to know that your creator had faith in you, faith in me, faith in this community, that no matter what this dark, evil, deep state throws at us, they will not beat his army? How can you be black-pilled knowing that? It's going to get nasty. Going to get some bumps and bruises. We're going to lose people that we love. It's going to cost us more than a lot of us want to sacrifice. But this is the fight for the future of our children, our children's children, and so on. I'm fired up for that. You know who else is fired up? Uncle Sam needs you. New York Post. Rapid Response 47. Secretary Scott Bassett is launching a new program on Monday that will reward tipsters with up to 30% of the fines imposed on criminals who are trying to bleed U.S. taxpayers dry. This is a fairly old post. This is actually from last month. This is from the tail end of March. But I wanted to show it because we got whistleblowers and we have people involved with the government that watch this show. We know that much. And some of you that have been privy to some things that have happened in the past, reward program offers whistleblowers up to 30% of scammer fines. So, to my California people that work in government, work under Newsom, work under Mayor Bass, work under these corrupt city councils, county boards, school officials, where you know they're stealing parents' money. You know they're stealing city funds, county funds, state funds. Shoot, you know about $100,000 in scams. Oh, my Marine Corps math, 30% of 100,000 is 30 grand. 30 grand. And you're a whistleblower, so they ain't gonna be able to fire you because you're protected. So just want to dangle this Uncle Sam needs you carrot out there, no matter what state you're in, folks. Some of you work in the belly of the beast. And for the last couple of years, as this fraud was committed in front of you, it pissed you off. It made you angry. But you also knew your back was in a corner. Your retirement was at stake. You saw that not a whole lot of people back whistleblowers. As a matter of fact, whistleblowers in a lot of cases were left out to dry. Well, now you can seek revenge on all these people that put you in that uncomfortable position, snitch them out. This is, you guys know my law enforcement background. Snitch these mofos out and get your 30%. And some of you in some funds, imagine you uncover $1 million fraud scam. 30% of that, Lord have mercy. So anyways, I just want to put that out there. You ain't got to win the lotto. You just got to snitch on some criminals. President Trump, the White House, you can't compromise on sanity and common sense. So true, Mr. President. Can't compromise on sanity and common sense. Let that resonate with you as we move through this show tonight and definitely afterwards. The White House, trust in Trump. You know, the fact that they even have to put that messaging out there tells you that they recognize the psychological warfare that's going on. Now, I want nobody to panic. Alpha, you drink soda? No. This is a Olipop, cherry cola, new kind of soda. So things are pretty healthy. Probiotics, botanicals, plant fiber. So I want anybody, you drink the Coke, snitches. Don't snitch on me, snitch on the criminals. But again, trust in Trump. Now, I find this funny. I ain't going to say it. You guys can put it in the live chat you want. What's the acronym for trust in Trump? It's like, I don't know, man. Maybe they're trying to speak to Marines and some shellbacks that are out there. But if you can't figure it out, I'm sure someone in the live chat will put it out there for you. Trust in Trump. On top of that, Department of War Rapid Response. Secretary Pete Hegseth, the War Department is once again restoring our freedoms to our joint force. We are discarding the mandatory flu vaccine requirement effective immediately. So why is this so important? One, we knew, so said Alpha, let's go for a beer, Hermano Bronco. We could do that. We can figure something out like that. But why is this so important? Yeah, I'll get me within squirrel comments. This is important because a lot of people thought, oh, they're just going to undo the mandated jab and the bad things that happen as a result of that because they want to look good in the eyes of the people. And a lot of us said, no, you're going to see them go in there and they're going to restore our military and body autonomy the way it's supposed to be done. Again, this is one of those I told you so's. That's a good one. Let's take a listen to what Secretary of War Hegseth has to say about this.
Under the disastrous Biden administration, this Pentagon waged an unrelenting war on our warriors on many fronts, including when it came to denying them simple medical autonomy and the freedom to express their religious convictions. In other words, our men and women in uniform were forced to choose between their conscience and their country, even when those decisions posed no threat to our military readiness. You know what I'm talking about, what happened, COVID-19 and the vaccine. No more. That era of betrayal is over. Under President Trump, the War Department continues to take decisive action to once again restore freedom and strength to our joint force. We're seizing this moment to discard any absurd, overreaching mandates that only weaken our warfighting capabilities. In this case, this includes the universal flu vaccine and the mandate behind it. The notion that a flu vaccine must be mandatory for every service member everywhere in every circumstance at all times is just overly broad and not rational. Our new policy is simple. If you, an American warrior entrusted to defend this nation, believe that the flu vaccine is in your best interest, then you are free to take it. You should. But we will not force you because your body, your faith, and your convictions are not negotiable. Your health. It's common sense. It's the kind of common sense approach we're undertaking in this department. Rest assured that under President Trump, the War Department will always honor our brave warriors and do everything we can to restore the American people's trust in their military for generations to come. And that's why I'm proud to sign this new policy.
One of the many reasons they hate this man so much. We're going to get into that. I get so excited. I want to get into this with you guys, and I see a lot of the compliments in the chat. Um, this show isn't anything without you guys, and I'd just be speaking into the into the ether if I didn't have you guys. So this show is only as good as you guys make it. So it's a team, right? And we crossed that 1,200 mark over there on Rumble. So come on, YouTube. Got a couple hundred people. YouTube, get 1,000 people watching this show, and maybe I'll do something crazy at the end of the show. I don't even know what. We'll figure it out. Get 1,000 people, YouTube, and I'll do something crazy. The White House, MAGA, all summer long. Now, they got to go and make these beer mugs. Like, someone needs to get their stuff together and really make it. And what's the White House talking about here? Anheuser-Busch, the ~1 beer manufacturer in the world, is pouring millions in investments into the United States. Beer giant pours $600 million into U.S. production and major bet on American growth. Why is this important? Who cares whether you drink beer, you don't drink beer? This is jobs, folks. This is jobs stateside. This is some American out there that's been praying, God, I need to pay. My house is going to go into foreclosure. My vehicle is going to get repossessed. My kid's going to go into college. You know, I need this surgery for me or my wife or my kids or mother-in-law, father, whatever the case. There's someone out there that's been praying for a way to get finances. And every time Trump gets something like this done, that's an answer to those people's prayer. That's a morale booster. And that's a win. I love this. And of course, beer's solid. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, under decisive leadership of POTUS, this Department of Justice is delivering on his promise to improve American health care. This includes immediately rescheduling FDA-approved marijuana and state-licensed marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. Shout out to my boy CanCon. I know he's still dancing about this. Ordering a new expedited hearing with set deadlines to fully reschedule marijuana. These actions will enable more targeted, rigorous research into marijuana safety and efficacy, expanding patients' access to treatments and empowering doctors to make better informed healthcare decisions. Y'all know I get a little uncomfortable with the Mary Jane conversation, but I'll tell you what, hands down, I'll support somebody taking that over all that other poison that they're putting into our people, especially our veterans. All those crazy opiates and painkillers. Hell yeah, I'd rather my people go out there and smoke something that grew from the earth. So, but again, I will tell people, be responsible about that. Don't get behind anything that's considered machinery. All you potheads, don't get mad at me in the chat. I can't shake that. I apologize. Nick Shirley is from my California people out here. Here is 10 minutes, and we're not going to play this whole video. I'm going to summarize it. I watched it for you, so you don't have to. Here's 10 minutes of me confronting the California politicians who authored the Stop Nick Shirley Act. When confronted about AB 2624, lied about authoring the bill, couldn't justify the bill, acted like they didn't know about the bill. This bill will criminalize exposing fraud, violates the First Amendment, protects NGOs from disclosing taxpayer dollars, and these politicians see no problem with it. The fraud is now exposed, and they need new laws to hide it, expose all the fraud. The video is actually it's shocking, but you're not shocked because you know how much corruption exists. But he's literally going to a lot of them, and a lot of them, you could tell, they didn't know what the hell they were talking about, what he was talking about. And he's like, you signed this, and this is what it's about. And he had to walk them through, and they're like, oh, that's what AB 2624 is. Like complete just buffoonery. But, long story short, he's going out there just kind of like what he did in Minnesota. He's come to California, and he's exposing a lot of these institutions that are utilizing fraud within the medical sphere. In Minnesota, he did it with the daycares. Out here, he's doing it with like the hospice centers and all these things. And they're passing this law that if someone goes and starts to investigate and publicize these questionings, that person can be jailed and fined. That is insanity. They are in California. These politicians are trying to make it harder for us, the people, to go and investigate their money laundering to hold them accountable. This kid got a set on him. Make sure you guys are praying for him. I'm sure he's got some good backup back there. And whether he's just a kid or something a little more special, doesn't matter. Keep this guy in your prayers because he's definitely doing the Lord's work out in our country. Bill Malugan, breaking the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, has issued an injunction blocking enforcement of California's new law that requires ICE agents to unmask and wear visible ID, arguing it violates the Supremacy Clause because it attempts to directly regulate the United States in performance of its governmental functions. California is enjoined from enforcing the law pending appeal. Big win for the Trump administration and US DOJ. What are we talking about here? We know California was trying to make it to where these ICE agents and these federal officers couldn't wear facial coverings, whether it be a mask or balaclava, or, they couldn't conceal their face. That's what they're trying to do, which would put these guys in harm's way. We see how they dox these guys where they live, and then they try to get these people to go and find them because they know that there's Looney Tunes people out there. And again, Ninth Circuit, folks. Ninth Circuit. This is encouraging, knowing that we got two major gunfights that are in the fight. We got the high capacity magazine and we got the assault weapons ban here. So maybe don't want to get too excited, but again, this is a big win. And shout out to the ICE agents who are now nice agents. If you don't know about that, we'll talk about that a little bit later, maybe. Patricia puts, Waters hasn't been present in Congress for months, but Raskin has continued to cast her votes. This is similar to Kay Granger, a Texas congresswoman that for 5 months was absent from Congress before being found living in a senior facility with memory care for dementia. Her votes had not stopped either. Term limits would eliminate this corrupt system. This is crazy, folks. Where in the world is Maxine Waters? This should be all over the news. You got another congressman that's just voting for them over and over and over. I suggest, folks, you start making some phone calls and being like, hey, to the GOP, you're a Republican. Why are you letting this go on? What's going on with this? Investigate it. Is there fraud? Is this lady, is she incapacitated somewhere? Whatever the case may be. Again, this is corruption. I see Indiana Toes. I ain't going to repeat that one, but I wouldn't be sad if it was true. You guys have to read the chat if you want to know what Indiana Toes said. Libs of TikTok. This is scary, folks. This is what an invasion looks like. Let me go full screen with this so you can see these numbers right here. Let me rewind this real quick. Where is it? So you guys can see. From 2020. Illegal immigrants into the United States, Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, Ecuador. Look at those numbers climb. 2023, 2024, we break 10 million. So let me just fast forward it to here so you guys can kind of see that ending number before it resets. Over 14.5 million. Now, granted, if you guys have seen the show that I did with JJ Carroll, I want to say, was it early 2025, maybe late 2024, when I did one of the shows with them. And that number, according to JJ Carroll, and for those of you who don't know, he was supervisor within the Customs and Border Patrol, and solid dude. I'm not going to say more than that, but solid dude. I respect this man. And that number was somewhere more between maybe 15 and 30 million. But this is the low end number that they at least all agree on. This is insane. Especially when we go back to mid to late 2022, when you had the Police Chiefs and Sheriffs Association that acknowledged at that time. Let's go back. What did this number look like, what they're willing to agree to in 2022? Let's see, 2022, that's 2023, so we'll go about here. So at that time, they're at least agreeing to 4.5 million illegals. And they said that at least 2% of that were tier 1 threats. I ain't gonna do the math on what 2% of 4.6 million is. But if one of you wants to do it and put it in the chat, I'll love you for it. That's insane. Insane. And these clowns right now don't want to fund our federal officers. At the beginning of the show, what I say, we are at war. We're at war, folks. Just because you don't see tanks driving down your streets. Let me play so you guys can see this graphic while I go on my little rant here. Just because you don't see tanks, just because you don't see military checkpoints, just because you aren't seeing the stuff we see like popping off in Iran or Ukraine or any other part of the world where there's explosions and gunfights in the streets happening, just because we don't see that, this is a different war for now. There's a shadow war that's going on here to change the culture, to change the ideology, to change the geopolitical field of what it looks like. The reason they don't have the tanks in the streets is because they've seen, hey, this is the slow boil of the frog. If we try to take on all these Americans, it's going to cost us too much. Too many of us will probably lose our lives. It's going to destroy a lot of infrastructure. It's going to destroy a lot of agriculture. We don't have to do that. We can just control these people's minds. We can create this illusion of freedom, and by the time they realize that the gig is up, it'll be too late. We'll have stripped their ability to fight us back. That's where we're at right now. This is the digital war that we're in right now. And you got to ask yourself, folks, this is the thing that I'm most frustrated with. What are you doing about it? What involvement do you have? You come and you watch this podcast, boom, great. You've now gotten the debrief. You've gotten information that's in your tool belt, and you're ready. For what, though? Are you educating the people you work with? Are you educating the people at your church? Are you educating your neighbors? If you don't want to do it because it's uncomfortable, then say, hey, here's a link. Watch this podcast. And then if you got questions, we'll talk about it at lunch break. But you got to, and folks, just so you know, what I'm talking about is the minimum. That's the minimum of what each one of you should be doing. You know, right now, a little over 1,400 people watching on Rumble. About to break that 500 mark over there on YouTube. So around 2,000 people watching live on those. About another 1,000 or so on the other platforms. Imagine if each one of you went and had a conversation with somebody tomorrow about information that you take away from this podcast today. That's a start. Some of you are in position to do so much more. You got to be involved. By the time you get to Sunday, you got to be exhausted. We get one shot, folks. One shot. And we're either going to be celebrating in 2028 or some alternatives we probably don't like. Let me get back into this. Moody Rahimi, as an Iranian who came to the USA 2 years ago, I'm officially coming out as a conservative. Here's the full story. Let you guys listen to this. This is what it's like when it's done. This is when someone comes here the legal way. This is how much they love this country. Listen to this.
Hey everyone. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and today I'm finally saying it out loud. I'm coming out as a conservative. Growing up in Iran, I had no choice but to follow US politics every single day, because American decisions literally shaped Iranian everyday lives back home. Over time, I developed very strong views. I watched democratic administrations betray the Iranian people again and again. Obama's JCPOA that poured money and legitimacy into the regime, and Biden's policy of sending billions straight to the mullahs. Those policy mistakes was in price of Iranian lives and freedom. Why also they allowed regime member family living lavishly in the USA. Then 2 years ago, I finally came to USA for my PhD studies, and I saw the same pattern from the inside. Too often, it felt like Democrats used our stories and chose signaling and votes, treating us as political props rather than real people with real dreams. Just a few weeks ago, I attended CPAC conference. For the first time, I was surrounded by conservatives who were warm, joyful, and genuinely optimistic about life. They didn't look down on me as an immigrant. They saw potential, talent, and someone worth empowering. What touched me most at CPAC conference was seeing how sincerely these people want freedom for Iran. That moment sealed it for me. I now believe without any hesitation that conservatism is essential. It's the force that protects everything I've come to cherish. Freedom of speech, strong national defense, individual rights, and Western civilization itself. To me, conservatism isn't just politics. It's gratitude. It's living with purpose. It's understanding the incredible privilege of freedom and wanting to protect it and pass it on to the next person, the next generation, and yes, even to a free Iran one day. So here I am, proudly, openly conservative. To be a better tomorrow for Iran, for USA, and for the world. Freedom is worth fighting for.
There you have it, folks. When people come here the legal way. Nick Sorter reports breaking the Israeli military has sentenced 2 soldiers to 30 days in jail for destroying a statue of Jesus per the AP. One of them was seen taking a sledgehammer to the head of Jesus. 30 days is way too light, but at least they're being punished. You saw this talked about last week or the last couple of days, and a lot of people said, nothing's going to happen about it. Nothing's going to listen. Something happened. I agree with Nick. I would have liked to have seen a way more severe punishment than this, but nonetheless, there was a punishment. Whether people want to argue, well, yeah, they did it because, it went public, or whatever the case is, if that's the argument you're going to make, well, still that's showing the influence of the American culture on the IDF, on Benjamin Netanyahu, on the Israeli government, that they knew, well, we still better do something about this. Think about that when you're thinking about, shifts of power. Tim Burchett puts not cool. Tragic news. David Wilcock, 53, prominent UF researcher and author and disclosure advocate, has reportedly died by suicide on April 20th near Nederland, Colorado. Boulder County Sheriff's Office deputies responded to 911 call at 10:44. This is tragic news. This is a bummer. And there's a lot of questions surrounding this. What I will say is, from some of the people that I've been listening to that were in close proximity to him, whether recently or, over the last couple of years, there was some dark times coming towards the tail end of his life. So could he have succumbed to that and taken his own life? That's what it looks like. And again, body camera footage that the deputies were wearing would be evidence to that. But nonetheless, this is the loss of somebody that had a lot of impact on people in our community. Speaking of people in our community, Sean Taylor, make sure you guys tune in tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Sean will be coming on. He is going to give us an update on Act Blue. What are we talking about? Act Blue's magic mortgage scandal is bigger than anyone imagined. I'm Sean Taylor. Not me, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Former assistant police chief in Tennessee, owner of FTG Solutions, LLC, and senior research analysis at the Election Fairness Institute. We've uncovered hundreds of billions in suspicious loans funneled through NGOs straight into the DNC and every radical left cause. Prime example, former Act Blue CEO Regina Wallace-Jones secured $67+ million in mortgages on a single home assessed at under $1 million. This is the swamp's dark money pipeline in plain sight. At FTG Solutions and the Election Fairness Institute, we're still grinding hard every day to take Act Blue down and demand real accountability. The fight is ongoing. Let's continue, because this one's for him too. Real America's Voice. Paxson takes aim at Act Blue. Let's take a listen to this. And again, we'll have my boy on tomorrow night. Here we go.
Absolutely, Sean. It's been, I'll bet you it's been over a year. You and I have been talking about Act Blue and your investigation. What do you think about the Attorney General's lawsuit? And then let's talk about the things that you found. But first, your response to Ken Paxton bringing suit against them.
We had briefed Ken Paxton a couple of years ago, right around Christmas time. And then General Flynn's brother, Joe Flynn, and I went down and briefed his team just a couple of months ago as well in person. And I think what Ken Paxton's doing is an outstanding thing. We need more state attorney generals to take a stand against this type of corruption. I don't think people understand the systemic corruption that's happening with things like Act Blue. And, we've got to remember that the people that they are basically taking advantage of are the elderly. This is causing elder abuse. This is identity theft. And, when they pick out a person that they're going to steal their identity, it's not just one count. With some of the people that we're investigating where they've stolen their identity, it's up to 25,000 times that they've made donations in that individual's names. So think about that, 25,000 separate accounts of identity theft, 25,000 counts of elder abuse, 25,000 counts of wire fraud on top of everything else. This is absolutely unacceptable, and accountability needs to come.
We know independent journalists have gone to some of the doors and knocked on these elderly folks' door. They had no idea that there were donations in their name to Democrats. And you're saying it's upwards of 25,000 people?
Oh, no, I'm talking about one individual who Act Blue has stolen their identity and made contributions in that individual's names, in that name. So what that means is 25,000 times that they have stolen that one individual's name and made donations. Now, one has to ask, where did that money come from? And it is coming from foreign countries. But we're finding stuff like Simon Pang, who was part of Royal Business Bank, who's also tied to the Sino Friendship, which is part of the CCP agenda, that is also making donations. And you may remember him because he was one of the main people that was backing the Los Angeles mayor and ended up being on her staff as well. So we have things like that where we actually have people that are tied to the CCP who are involved in moving money as well.
All right. You had uncovered that there was a mortgage fraud aspect to these allegations. Can you explain that, and what has Act Blue's response been? Have they ever responded to your accusations?
No, sir, they haven't responded to our allegations yet. So what we're finding is some of the people like former CEO and CFOs have homes that have what we call magic mortgages on them. We're showing that they have mortgages that are hard money loans that do not provide the lender's name. And it just so happens that, let's say it's a $670,000 property, but it's a $670 million hard money loan that we're finding on these homes. But the person who's actually lending the money is not listed. And those homes are a lot of times listed as the operation location for Act Blue.
All right. So clearly an in-depth process, you believe, to launder money and ultimately feed it back to Democrats.
Yeah, that's the way it appears right now. We're still investigating. We're providing information to the DOJ, different U.S. attorneys, and state attorney generals. But we're also finding that there appears to be an aspect to this, that there was money that was coming out of the Fed to help fund what was happening.
Wow. All right. So these are very serious allegations. Here's what I would like to offer up. For anybody at Act Blue, you want to come on this program and answer questions, explain it, I'm happy to have you on. You just shoot me an email. Go to GrantStinchfield.com. I get every email. I'm happy to have you on. Sean Taylor, great work. Appreciate all your work in law enforcement for decades. And thank you, sir, for coming on, as always.
Thank you, Grant. I appreciate you.
I cannot wait to have a conversation with my brother tomorrow, because there's something else I'm going to bring up that I think he is going to like, and I know you guys are going to like when we get into that part of the conversation. Next, this is big news, and definitely supports a lot of I told you so's. FBI Director Kash Patel, Operation Gangster's Paradise. Old school song for those that you know. FBI Los Angeles executed 30 pre-dawn raids, arresting 30 alleged members of the Mexican Mafia in Southern California. Alleged murderers, drug dealers, and racketeers all taken down. This group is also known as La M, the Gang of Gangs, known to control nearly every Hispanic gang in the California region. Well done to our agents, great partners, and teams who executed brilliantly. This FBI continues to break violent gang operations all over the country. A little bit more on that. U.S. Department of Justice. This morning in California, 25 members and associates of the Mexican Mafia prison gang were arrested on 3 federal indictments, charging them with committing scores of crimes, including, now remember these crimes, folks: kidnapping, extortion, trafficking fentanyl and methamphetamine, running illegal gambling businesses, murdering a victim last year at a gang-controlled Anaheim motel. This is a multi-agency effort and wouldn't have been possible without the great work of the USAO Los Angeles, U.S. Attorney S.A. Lee, FBI, and the DEA headquarters. Under the leadership of POTUS and the Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, we are finally seeing accountability. Full story there. And we will continue on to this article. There's a couple things that I wanted to highlight. This comes from the United States Attorney's Office, Central District, California. 43 Mexican Mafia gangsters arrested on indictments alleging racketeering, drug trafficking, kidnapping, assault, and murder. And I'll just read the first part and then I'll go to the highlighted part. Santa Ana, California, 25 members and associates of the Mexican Mafia prison gangs were arrested today on 3 federal indictments, charging them with committing scores of crimes in Orange County, including kidnapping, extortion, trafficking, fentanyl, methamphetamine, running illegal gambling businesses, and murdering a victim last year in a gang-controlled Anaheim motel. These arrests send a clear message. Organized crime and violence will not be tolerated in Santa Ana, said Santa Ana Police Chief Robert Rodriguez. Through strong partnerships with local and federal counterparts, we will continue to target those who threaten the safety and well-being of our communities. The Mexican Mafia, aka La M, is a U.S.-based prison gang that has immense control over Hispanic street gangs in Southern California, directing illegal activities from prisons and collecting a portion of the proceeds from drug trafficking, illegal gambling, and other crimes committed on the streets. According to this 66-count indictment from June 2024 to April 2026, Cardenas oversaw the Mexican Mafia's criminal activities in Orange County and within the Orange County jail and prison facilities. Alvarado Cecina, Madrigal, and Flores held the position of high-ranking associates for Cardenas. IRS CI remains committed to protecting our communities by attacking the financial infrastructure that supports organized crime, no matter how deeply it is embedded. Why does all this matter? Well, A, if you guys have been watching this show for about at least a year or seen me on some other shows, you know one of the things that I said is cash. Or Bondi, when she was the AG. If you're listening to me, you want to contact your intel gang guys in the prison. Because if you're trying to track down the terrorists that came across during Biden's administration, they are going to know where they are. Because they can't operate at the street level without the cooperation of these street gangs. So if you go, you start to do what you need to do, and I'm not going to go into the playbooks of that, but if you need to do what you got to do with the BGF, the Aryan Brotherhood, with Lame, Nuestra Familia, Northern California, if you get into these guys and you start to work them and you start to flip some people, you are going to take down these terrorists. Now, I'm sure they got brilliant people and they didn't need my advice to figure that out. But it is nice to see that it all kind of happened. Maybe this podcast does land on the ears of some good people and they take some good advice from us. Why else is this important? Well, back to the statement that was right here towards the end. Where is it? The IRS CI remains committed to protecting our communities by attacking the financial infrastructure that supports organized crime. It's my opinion that yes, they're referencing this takedown, this Operation Gangster's Paradise, but they're also talking about the much larger RICO case that's taking place, folks. Why this is so significant, why this has such an impact. This is one of the best news items that I have to report to you guys right now. And one of the reasons being is this is the rank and file of the deep state in our country, folks. These guys, MS-13, that the Haitian gangs that are coming in here, because in California, we're seeing it happen to Lame, we're seeing it happen there. Other parts of the country, there's different gangs that have this equivalence to it. And if it's happening here, it's going to be happening there. This is our government, our good guys, taking down the rank and file of the deep state. This is the way the deep state moves its human trafficking, its child trafficking. This is the way the deep state moves its narcotics trafficking. This is the way the deep state moves its weapons trafficking. You take down these guys, and now the deep state has a choice to make. Do it themselves, which is probably not their expertise, and it exposes them, or lose the money. Kind of puts them in a bad predicament because either way, they lose. This is a big deal, folks. Remember those crimes, right? Let's go back to it just because it's important. Kidnapping, extortion, trafficking, fentanyl, trafficking, running illegal businesses, and murder. Because you're going to see people in high-ranking government positions when they get indicted that are going to have kidnapping, extortion, trafficking, murder. You're going to see it because these people are going to create the domino effect that works upwards. I'm fired up about that one, if you can't tell. Another reason why they're coming after Cash so hard. FBI Chief Kash Patel, I will say FBI Director, I think this guy got that messed up, but it's okay, did not happen to be in Milan by chance or to attend the Olympic hockey final at the taxpayers' expenses. He was in Italy on a long-planned business trip. Now, if you remember, I had said back then, when people find out why he was out there, some people are going to have to eat some crow. Nor was it any coincidence that ICE was also on site in Milan at the same time, specifically HSI, the unit within ICE that investigates transnational organized crime, cybercrime, human trafficking, narcotics, money laundering, and terrorism. As is well known, most of that kind of activity exists in Italy, Operation Gladio, not least in the form of institutionalized mafia structure and under the Vatican and Leonardo Spa. It can hardly be ruled out that the FBI ICE HSI took the opportunity to convene for a coordinated meeting and that this was in fact the real purpose of Cash's presence. And if we take a look right here, you kind of see all that. I'll leave it up for a second if you guys want to screenshot it. Folks, these guys are cooking, and that's why they're coming after them. We get right here to Real Robert puts, this is the President of the United States just signed an order revoking Chris Krebs' security clearance and has directed the DOJ to investigate him for his role in overthrowing of the U.S. government in November of 2020. Krebs was the head of CISA, who weaponized his position and conspired with the FBI and big tech to censor truth, evidence, proof, and testimony about 2020 election, and who designated the November 3rd, 2020 as the most secure election in American history. Take a listen to our president.
Christopher Krebs, the former head of CISA. This is a man who weaponized his position against free speech in the election context, in the context of COVID-19. A presidential memorandum to the one you just signed. It assurances he might have, and further instructs your Department of Justice, other aspects of your government, to investigate some of the malign acts that he participated in while he was still head of CISA.
This is another one. I don't know that I met him. I'm sure I met him, but I didn't know him. And he came out right after the election, which was a rigged election, a badly rigged election. We did phenomenally in that election. Look what happened to our country because of it. Open borders, millions of people coming into our country. Russia and Ukraine, that would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. Afghanistan, the way that they withdrew with 13 dead, but so many killed, actually. I mean, so many killed outside of the 13 soldiers, hundreds of people killed. And maybe, I don't know, never mentioned, but I mentioned it, 42 or 43 people so badly injured, the legs, the arms, blown off, the face. And this is all because of an incompetent group of people that preceded us, and that would have never happened. And this guy Krebs was saying, oh, the election was great, it was great. Well, it's been proven that it was not only not great. When you look at all these lawyers and law firms that are signing, giving us hundreds of millions of dollars, it was proven by so many different ways in so many different forms, from the legislatures not approving to the that worked, from all of the different scamming operations. It was a very corrupt election. They used COVID to cheat. And we're going to find out about this guy too, because this guy's a wise guy. He said, we've been proved this is the most secure election in the history of our country. Now, this was a disaster. And frankly, we should go to paper ballots, same-day voting, voter ID, and one other thing, you should get a little certificate that says you're a citizen of our country. You get a citizen piece of paper, it says you're a citizen before you can vote. But you want voter ID and you want paper ballots, and you really want same-day voting. If you don't have same-day voting, they decide to change the air conditioner. Oh, we're fixing the air conditioner. Let's move all these boxes. We'll bring them back in a few days, and then they don't bring back those boxes. We got to have safe elections. We have to have borders. Ideally, we have to have a free press, which we don't have. We don't have a free press. We have a very dishonest press. This is an honor. We're going to find out whether or not he was right. This was a disgraceful election, and this guy sat back saying, well, I'm a member, or like he's a Republican or something, and almost right from the beginning. And he's tried to make the case that this election was a safe election. I think he said, this is the safest election we've ever had. And yet, every day you read in the papers about more and more fraud that's discovered. He's the fraud. He's a disgrace. So we'll find out whether or not it was a safe election. And if it wasn't, he's got a big price to pay. And he's a bad guy. There's another one. I have no idea who he is. Krebs. I have no idea who he is. I'm sure he was in the room at some point, just like you're all in the room, but I have no idea who he was. So thank you very much. Those last two are very important, I think, for the country.
And this one's got me smiling so damn big because we said it, folks. Rico, 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 Rico. And this is going to be one of those pivotal cases. Actually, let me zoom in on this, make it a little easier for you guys. I'm sure one of you in the chat already probably yelled at me, make it bigger, Alpha. Freedom of Information Act documents obtained by investigative journalist Yehuda Miller through the Freedom of Information Act FOIA revealed a secret meeting organized on Election Day, November 3rd, 2020 by Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, involving Dominion officials and the FBI to discuss the overthrow of the United States government with private companies and democratic groups. The list includes over 200 names of individuals, government entities, private businesses, media outlets, and at least one tech giant. The list includes a curious mix of members from Dominion, ES&S, Eric Systems, Amazon, Runback, Microsoft, several Secretary of State offices, the Associated Press, Amazon, and leftist groups. 43 groups make up the CISA, LSEC, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, not a single conservative group represented. Several high-profile individuals were invited, including Jennifer Morrill, the Elections Group, Ryan Macias with the Lafayette Group, and you guys know that one's a great one. I got to do a show just on the Lafayette Group for those of you that are not familiar with it, or rock your socks. Eric Coomer with Dominion, Jocelyn Benson, and Michigan Secretary of State. And remember this quote, don't worry about the election. Trump is not going to win. I made fucking sure of that. These people are going down. And again, timing on this had to be absolute perfection. And we are seeing that happen. So that long section kind of brings us up to speed on a lot of the stories. And now we're going to get into our themes of stuff. And so right out of the gate, we're going to start off with some Scavino comms. We'll see if there's any posts that are relevant to this and see what we find in these digs. But to set this one up, I found this very interesting. This is from about 4 days ago. And let me play this video for you. This one's going to hit you in the heartstrings. Some of you may know this video, but for those, damn. How many dirt bikers I got watching the show tonight? Definitely love to know who are my two-wheel monsters. You guys, you guys know the rush that's going on there, and the no F's given, right? This one, before we even get into one of the posts I came across that I was like, hey, this is pretty significant if this is accurate. But the reason this one hit me so hard, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, is as you watch this guy flying through this, and I'll make it big screen while I talk about this for a second. While you're watching them fly through this, one, understand these other guys on the track they're flying too. They're going fast. They are definitely flying. I see that 450 Yamaha J-Law Bronco. I was a Yamaha guy myself. So mad love right there. Fist bump, brother. When in doubt, throttle out. But seeing this guy flying right here, the reason it hits me is because that 4-year battle that I had with the FBI, and for those that don't know, I was already in about a 2-year battle with my agency, so it was really about 6 years of fighting for me. This was my approach. When doubt, throttle out. I hit that throttle and I was never going to slow down. Hitting the brakes was not an option. Looking back was not an option. Looking for a different route was not an option. I hit the gas, twisted that throttle, and I was going to continue to fly at them. And I was either going to die in the process or I was going to win. Second place was not an option. It was win or die. Die trying. And man, this video really hits me because that's this guy's mentality. Win at all costs. And this is the mentality every single one of you needs to have. I don't care how young you are or how old you are or how old you feel. This is the mentality we all need to have right now as patriots, because there's people in many different countries. This is the mentality each one of you needs to have. We are throttling, pedal to the floor, and we are not slowing down until we win for our countries and for our God and for our children. Look at, just he's jamming. He doesn't care what's at risk. For those of you that ride, you know what happens. You catch a rut the wrong way on at that speed. And he's doing everything right. Now, again, he's not doing it sloppy. He's got proper form. He's letting the bike do what it does. I mean, this is just phenomenal. And again, we won't spend too much time because I do want to get into what could it possibly mean. And so Gary McCollum put, well, what is this? And Q leader who said JFK and son are still alive dies in Rochester after crashing a dirt bike. And for some of you guys that know this guy, let me see if I can click on it to see if it'll bring it up. It was giving me little issues earlier. And looks like we're rocking here. And we hit block. Rochester, Minnesota. Michael Protzman, the leader of, according to them, QAnon cult, who led thousands of people to believe a conspiracy, and former President John F. Kennedy and his son John F. Kennedy Jr. are still alive, has died in Rochester, according to Vice News. Protzman, 60, died Friday, June 30th, at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, a week after suffering multiple blunt force injuries from a dirt bike accident at the Meadow Valley motocross track in Millville. The fatal injuries occurred after Protzman lost control of his dirt bike, according to the Southern Minnesota Regional Medical Examiner's Office, known to his followers as Negative 48. Protzman built a 100,000 plus person following on the social media app Telegram, spreading conspiracy theories, predicting JFK, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And give me 1 second because I got to reload your guys' Rumble feeds where I'm watching you because the chat just started tripping. So bear with me. This is the stuff that I got to deal with when we do a live show. And I absolutely prefer the live shows. I get to interact with you guys. I already fixed that one. Let me fix one more. All right, we're good to go. And hold on. There we are, back on the screen. So, this is the day that Scavino did the post. And so was this Scavino given a hat tip at one of the warriors that was lost? I don't know. Pretty interesting. That's the day, when his death, gets the media attention and gets disclosed out there. I'd like to know your guys' thoughts on that one. I definitely think it could definitely be a possibility. And why is this thing tripping? My apologies. If you guys are watching the Rumble chat and you're getting that creator sponsor thing that is flipping out, wish I could fix it for you, but I can't. Maybe, but you know what? Let's do this. Let's wanted to wait till an hour and a half before we did our next ad, but we'll do it here because maybe it'll fix the problem. Let me bring this QR code up on the screen. The kid's guide, and it's working. All right, there we go. All right, parents, real talk for a second. America is about to hit a huge milestone. We're coming up on America's 250th birthday. 250 years of freedom, grit, sacrifice, and the greatest experiment in self-government the world has ever seen. This is the perfect moment to help your kids understand why this country matters. not just fireworks and hot dogs, but the story behind it all. There's a free guide called The Kid's Guide to America's 250th Birthday, and it's honestly a great way to introduce kids to how America began, who the founding fathers were, what they risked, and why the ideas they fought for still matter today. This guide sends kids back to the moment when brave men signed the Declaration of Independence, knowing full well that they were risking their lives for freedom. It breaks it all down in a way kids can actually understand and enjoy without watering it down or turning it into boring schoolwork. If you care about raising kids who know where this country came from and why it's worth preserving, this is something you'll want to grab. And the best part, it's completely free with this special offer. You just pay $2 for shipping and postage. Just head to freeusabirthday.com. That's freeusabirthday.com. And the Kid's Guide to America's 250th birthday for your kids today is yours. America's story matters. Make sure that the next generation knows it. You also see that link down in the description of Rumble. And then let me see where we're at here so I don't lose my place. There we are. And let me play one of our other ads and we'll be right back, folks. It is definitely life-changing, folks. Let's get back to our programming. There we go. So again, you guys can let me know down in chat what you think of it. Scavino, happy World Penguin Day. This post comes from, and I got to adjust this because my Mac moves some things around here, from April 25th, 8:13 a.m. Again, I'm on the West Coast at this Pacific time, so this would be 9, 10, 11:13 a.m. on the East Coast. What the heck with the penguins, folks? Cool little song to it. It's only 20 seconds. So I'll play it for you guys. Hopefully YouTube will have mercy. But here, all right, let's get to work and see what this possibly could mean. So let me open up a tab here. Let's go to, if my mouse will work. There we go. And let's see, what time did we say that was? 11:13 a.m. So let's go over here. See if we find anything at 11:13. And let me make this bigger for all you guys before people start yelling at me. 11:13 brings us to April 9th. In the realm of things, well, what, 2.5 weeks off? Let's see, did Anons ever figure out what Q meant with the baby on the floor and hands in the mouth? The start. Was this the Syria false flag? Finally, chemicals. Learn our comms. Actually, that sounds like a great DEFCON 1 for tomorrow. Let's see, what else do we got? April 25th. I think we had quite a few for April 25th. Let's take a look at April 25th and see what populates there. Hopefully there's not too many and we can fly through them, see what we find. 18. Let's see. Renegade was interesting the last couple of days because of that horse. I saw Colonel Towner post about that. One of the horses that was racing was called Renegade, but let's see if there's anything obvious that sticks out. I'm going to fly through it, so I may miss something. Note 187. Actually, we talked about that. Given that's interesting, because the shooting was on the 25th. You got that note 187 because we talked about this actually on Q After Hours last night. So that might be something right there. All right, let's keep pushing on. Then, of course, you got the boomerang, and this was regarding John Brennan post from September of 2019. A reminder to federal officials, there's no limit on the number of individuals who can use the whistleblower statute. And remember, 30% for you whistleblowers out there, up to 30% of the money that you bring in that. But again, you got Scavino, throws the boomerang, and it comes back. And for those of you who've seen the boomerang post, that boomerang post is from 2019, but it's coming full circle now in 2026. And why is that relevant? And Josh did a good job explaining that last night. This is John Brennan throwing the boomerang in 2019 and then boomerang coming back in 2026. So I thought that was pretty solid. And then we have this one from Scavino. He posted it 4/25/2026 at 10:15 p.m. Eastern. So he wanted to make sure we knew exactly when this photo was taken. And so I have not cheated to look ahead to see what this could possibly mean. I'm going to do it live like these other ones with you right here. But nonetheless, my post to this was just iconic. This is a photo that our kids will see in the history books when they go back to learn how we all fought in this war for our country's sovereignty and for humanity. I guarantee you, I will bet my life as our great grandkids are watching our videos and being like, man, great grandpa was a crazy podcaster, but he got this right because it's right here in my history book, right? This one is iconic, and it's very important, especially when you look at the people that are present. And powerful, influential people that are there. But with that, let's take a look at 10:15 Eastern. So let me open up another one of these, slide it on over in 10:15 Eastern. So we'll check out 10:15 and then we'll do the military time of 22:15 as well. So let's look at 10:15. 10:15 brings us April 4th. Gateway Bridge Project, 1.8 million. Cory Booker, Singapore, 3.5 million. Chuck Schumer, Israel, 400,000. Chris Christie, Mary Pat, U.S. Omnibus Bill, the gift that keeps on giving. Maybe. Let me see. 22:15. See what that yields us. Panicking. Bingo. Money shot. That didn't take a whole lot for us to figure out. Panic in UK, panic in DC, panic in UK, panic in DC. That one's nice, especially looking at that photo. Wonder what they're watching in that. Are they looking at the video from the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner? They're looking at somebody's tweet, or is the phone off and they're just doing a photo op? Because we know photo ops are done. Who knows? But the point being that this is iconic. And again, panic in DC. Absolutely agree with that. Now this is taking us into... All right, we're going into Bongino. I just want to make sure I saw where we're going. Oh, let me scoot this up. We're going to talk about these chess pieces and moves that are being made. But I want to read this. And this one comes from, was this MAGA Kitty? Yeah, MAGA Kitty posted this. Flag it, Bongino. And I'm not going to read the quote because we're going to talk about it right now. Again, I'll make the world of sense why the doomers are in bed with the left-wing media trying to get rid of cash. Let's take a listen to Bongino right here. It's going to set the stage for this next topic.
One final thing, too, before we start, that this is just the beginning of the show. I promise you this. Look at me. Everybody zooming in. Fokker, that's an O. The hit on Kash Patel, the bullshit hit by The Atlantic, which I addressed yesterday, is going to make a lot more sense in the coming weeks and months. I can't give you a definitive timeline. I'm on the outside now. However, I can tell you what I know is going on because I started a lot of it. It's going to make a lot more sense real soon as to why the left-wing media and the Democrats want Kash Patel out. I promise. Look at me. Look me in the eye. Wow. Whoa. What the hell was that? Guys scared me with the close-up, even me. Look me in the eye, and I'm telling you, I promise this thing is going to make a whole lot of sense. You're going to find out, as they say in the South, right quick about why they need him out like now. It's got nothing to do with that story being even remotely true. Remember this. Bookmark it. Flags in the chat. Flags in the chat. Flag it up. Flag it up, kids. And when the nothing that's supposed to be happening actually happens and the nothing is happening, doomers have to change their story for the umpteenth time, again, it'll make a world of sense why the doomers are in bed with the left-wing media trying to get rid of cash. The black pillars. You'll start to see it. Because they don't want Donald Trump to succeed. The doomers, the black pillars, and the liberal media.
I want a producer be like, zoom into my eyes, right? Right. If I want to do it, I got to change cameras, do all that crazy stuff. It's difficult running this show the way we're doing it right now. But here's the thing, folks. Remember, he was a deputy director. And a lot of people saying he got fired. Even some of my boys, you know, I'm not gonna throw him under the bus. You guys know what I'm talking about. Even some of my boys are out there. This operation's been done to perfection. To perfection. Even the contingencies for when something wasn't going to go the way something wanted, they still had a contingency for that. We know that because the boards even directly tell us that. When we were talking about earlier in the show when we started it, we were just going over the headline news to get us up to speed on some major stories. We talked about Cash Patel going after the Yemen, going after the Mexican mafia, going after the prison gangs, the rank and file of the deep state. You got Bongino saying it's going to make sense, folks. It's going to make sense. And again, for those that are like, how do you know it's a plan, Alpha? How do you know? We won't even mention the Q boards because you don't need to at this point to understand that there's a plan that's in place. Go all the way back to the beginning of Trump's 2.0 administration. One of the first things he did was he tasked Attorney General Pam Bondi with designating the cartels as foreign terrorists. That right there told you he knew he was going to be blowing their boats to shit in the months to come because they came into this administration with a plan already. This is not something that they're figuring out as they go. They're finessing it. They're probably adjusting to some contingencies, but this is something that's been in place for a long time, for a very long time. And this is for those of you that are aware of the boards and have studied and read the books. As a matter of fact, you guys see every show, I always put that General Flynn commercial out there. 3 books, folks. And there's a 4th one coming out, so get ready. Citizen's Guide to 5th Generation Warfare, Introduction to 5GW. How to fight artificial intelligence, or maybe even fight using it. The Role of the Church, that was the 3rd one that came out. Tell me this hasn't been significant in late 2025 and early 2026. And just in case you weren't paying attention, remember, General Flynn, I have mad respect for that man. Mad respect for him. What's on the binds of these books? I don't know. What do you think that means? This shit makes me smile. Folks, there's a plan, but we're also involved. This is not a sit on the couch and wait for someone to do the work for you. Hell no. This is not enjoy the show means grab your popcorn and don't do nothing. Hell no. This is enjoy the show of what we're doing by being an active participant. Again, that goes to the conversation we had earlier. I'm not going to rehash that all over again. But again, the arrests are coming. Eric Daugherty puts, just now Fed Chair nominee Kevin Warsh infuriates Senator Elizabeth Warren after she asked who won the 2020 election. You guys will get a kick out of this.
And your courage. We'll start easy. Mr. Warsh, did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
We try to keep politics, if I'm confirmed, out of the federal.
I'm just asking a factual question. I need to know, I need to measure your independence and your courage.
Senator, I believe that this body certified that election many years ago.
That's not the question I'm asking. I'm asking, did Donald Trump lose in 2020?
I'm suggesting you in 2020, the Fed made a huge inflation problem, and you certified the election.
So let me ask you another question.
Out of monetary policy.
In our meeting, you said you would be independent.
Trump is shifting chess pieces, folks. Let's get going. John Solomon reports breaking Devin Nunes departing Trump media to focus on the intel oversight role. Where is he going? That's interesting. Very, very interesting where he's going to get placed. Does he work with the ODNI? Does he become the new ODNI? Is he going to be put into the NSA? We're going to find out. but this is a significant move. Very significant. Trump is repositioning the chess pieces. This one's solid. Just in, Navy Secretary John Phelan is departing the Trump administration effective immediately per the Pentagon. Undersecretary Hung Kao has now stepped into the role as acting Secretary of Navy. Kao's true communist-hating patriot. And here's his post, and we'll play this video because it is solid. I'm Hung Kao. My family was one of the last to escape Saigon before it fell to the communists. I know what it's like to lose your country. We are losing ours today. November 5th is Liberation Day. President Trump and I will save America and make it great again. You're going to enjoy the shit out of this video.
This is the scariest sound you will hear when you live in a communist country. This is the last sound my parents heard when their fathers were taken away in the middle of the night, and they never saw their loved ones again. That's the sound of losing your freedom, the sound of always living in fear. That's my family's real life story. We escaped from Vietnam just days before Saigon fell to the communists. We were given a new life in the most generous country on earth. America saved my life. I graduated from the United States Naval Academy. I earned a master's in physics and fellowships at MIT and Harvard before the left replaced merit with racial quotas. I spent my life trying to repay my debt to America, my country, our country, with 25 years of service in Navy Special Operations, combat in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Somalia. But now our country has taken a dark turn. That's Joe Biden's Justice Department sending 24 armed agents to arrest a pro-life activist in front of his family. That's Joe Biden's IRS raiding a gun shop and seizing thousands of records from law-abiding gun owners. Our names, our addresses, our social security numbers. That's Joe Biden arresting his challenger in the next election, a former president of the United States. And now a different sound. That's the sound of someone breaking into your home or business. The sound of crime destroying our cities and communities. That's how it all starts. They let criminals back on our streets. Millions of illegal immigrants pour across our border each year, including military-aged men from all over the world. And enough fentanyl to kill every man, woman, and child in this country. And the Biden family? Well, that's how it works in a dictatorship. The rules don't apply to the rulers. We are losing our country. You know it, but you also know you can't say it. We're forced to say that wrong is right. We're forced to lie. We can't let that happen. I've been all over the world. Believe me when I tell you, if America fails, there's nowhere else to go. I'm Hung Kao, retired Navy captain, running for United States Senate. I still believe America can be the land of opportunity. I have an obligation to fight back against those who want to control our lives and disrupt our families. We need real fighters, not politicians, not bureaucrats, not keyboard warriors acting tough in a custom-made suit. No, not here in America. We must refuse to be intimidated. We must be fearless. I'm Hung Kao. I'm running for Senate, and I approve this message because I'm not done fighting for us.
Damn. Tell me you ain't fired up. Tell me you don't want to go into a recruiting office again. And again, he ain't in Senate. He is now the acting Secretary of the Navy. And knowing that that's that man's mentality, these are the fighters. Again, Trump is repositioning new pieces onto the chessboard. MJ Ultra puts, very interesting. If you didn't already love the guy you just saw on the screen, wait till you listen to this. Navy Secretary John Phelan abruptly departs his position. Hung Kao has now stepped into the role as acting Secretary of Navy. And fun fact, Hung Kao was the diver who recovered JFK Jr.'s body after the plane crash. Small world, big coincidences. Are you saying that President Trump appointed this guy and this guy has this history to Trump's homie? Let's take a listen.
At all. So I don't know if that means anything, but they certainly don't have the signage up.
No, they don't. Look, Northern Virginia has a lot of immigrants. I came here as a refugee from Vietnam. We ran away during when the communists overtook Saigon, and this country gave us everything. And so I paid back with 25 years of service in Navy Special Operations. As a Navy diver, I recovered John F. Kennedy Jr. And his plane. And then as an EOD tech, I defused bombs for our SEAL teams and Special Forces teams because I wanted to pay back every dime of the American dream. And this.
You heard that right. You heard that right. Let me go back to that. Didn't realize I wasn't showing you guys the stuff on the screen anymore. My apologies. Kind of a big deal. Now, there's a couple of thoughts here that I just want to present to you guys. I'm not asserting anything, just want to entertain some theories. If you're somebody who subscribes to the idea that JFK Jr. didn't really die in that plane crash, but he went into witness protection, and that the plane crash was something to create the optics that he died, because again, he was running against Hillary Clinton for the Senate position. We know HRC, we know how evil that woman is and how many people she's taken out. So if you're someone that subscribes to the idea that JFK Jr. didn't die in that plane crash, not saying whether he's alive or whatever the case may be, but if you subscribe to the idea that he didn't die in that plane crash, and you have Hung Kao now saying, hey, I was part of the dive team and I'm the one that recovered his body, what you would also have to recognize, and that means he is read in that didn't recover JFK Jr.'s body at that crash. Well, he did. I know Tim says, notice that he didn't say that he recovered his body. He actually does. Well, we can play it again. I don't mind. It's only about 30 seconds on that. But the point being here is he'd be read in on that. And if he's read in on that, then that means he's probably a part of, at least in some compartmentalized aspect of a greater operation that's at play. But let's take a listen one more time to what he said there and make sure we did hear it correctly. It's at the end of the statement, so it's about 35 seconds.
At all. So I don't know if that means anything, but they certainly don't have the signage up.
No, they don't. Look, Northern Virginia has a lot of immigrants. I came here as a refugee from Vietnam. We ran away during when the communists overtook Saigon, and this country gave us everything. And so I paid back with 25 years of service in Navy Special Operations. As a Navy diver, I recovered John F. Kennedy Jr. And his plane. And then as an EOD tech, I defused bombs for our SEAL teams and Special Forces teams because I wanted to pay back every dime of the American dream. And this.
Now, what I will give you on that one, where's I want to make sure I give credit to the right person. You guys are having fun in the chat. Who said it? Who said it? I'm trying to find it. I can't find who said it, but what he did say is, I did recover JFK Jr. He didn't say body. So, if you were kind of insinuating that he recovered him as in him alive, I can definitely see that point. But nonetheless, he did say that he recovered him. However you want to interpret that, alive or dead, he recovered him. So again, if you subscribe to the idea that this was WITSEC 18 USC 3521, for those that are unfamiliar with it, US code for being able to do a fake death, then there's that. Or the other argument is, if you're someone who believes, no, JFK Jr. really did die in that plane crash, well, this is the man that recovered his body, which means that, that was something that would probably be very special to President Trump as well. And President Trump, and I'm not taking away anything from this man's abilities to do the position that Trump assigned him to as acting, Secretary of the Navy. I'm not taking away from that, but I'm saying that there's the symbolism of that, because the other people like the Clintons and others would know that this man is doing that. So again, the symbolism, however you look at it, is very pronounced here, and it's something that you can't just ignore it. So let's keep going because we ain't done with this chess pieces being moved. Joe Hoff, the great Rudy Giuliani, offers to step into the DOJ for 3 months and clean it up. Now, this is why I'm not trying to swear so much, right? But I just want to see the F word so bad because I'm so effing pumped with this one. For those of you who don't know, this is the father of RICO, right? America's mayor, right? This is the father of RICO. And it is my speculation, I want to be very clear, speculation, right? That if I was Tulsi and I was running a RICO case on the Russia hoax and any other thing, there is no way that I wouldn't have reached out in a friendly capacity or a professional capacity to the man who fathered RICO to make sure that I'm dialed in. And I would definitely be seeking his guidance, and I would definitely be seeking his professional trying to navigate my words here so I don't, send people down the wrong roads, but definitely have him involved in some capacity. And so when you see Rudy saying, hey, give me 3 months, what is he saying there? Is he signaling to us that RICO is going to surface in 3 months more publicly than it already is? Is he signaling to somebody, maybe Tulsi or another team, that, hey, this 3 month window, I find it very interesting that Juliana says 3 months and I'll clean it up. And this is why I find that interesting, because I know you can't clean it up in 3 months. Now, if it's already been going on for a couple of years and you know that you're coming to the conclusion, then I can see what 3 months would mean. But that also means that Rudy's read in on that. So just understand, it's 3 months that's barely enough time to do the stuff that I did, street level gang injunctions and stuff like that. So you're talking taking down the most powerful criminal element that's ever existed in the world in 3 months. There's definitely something there with Rudy's comment. And I think we will figure it out, because 3 months from now is what? May, June, July? Bringing us back to that 250 celebration. Are we going to see a bunch of people arrested on July 4th? I don't know. I'm shooting from the hip here because it can mean all kinds of things. I don't know. You guys let me know down in the comments. Fire off in the chat. But let's supplement that thought process with this. Julie Donuts puts out, you cannot possibly imagine the size of this. Down they will all go. Take a listen.
In a second. 50% of this conspiracy was carried out on Donald Trump's watch against him by the people that he trusted around him. Now, I put that photo out this morning so everybody could see who's in the room. Gina Haspel, the CIA director, top FBI officials, top Homeland Security officials. If Chris Porter is right, that the president ordered those documents released that day, and those people walked out of the room and say, I ain't going to do it, there should be a consequence for that. That is defying a presidential order. If after that, if some of the things that happened in the 2020 election, because they were still vulnerable, occurred, and we didn't tell the American people, and we came out and said it was a perfect election, most secure election in history, those people can be held to account. I thought the single most important thing that Kash Patel said on Sunday with Marie Bartiromo wasn't the deadline, because you and I have been talking about that deadline now for about a month. It was the fact that he considers some of this election matters to be part of the grand conspiracy. So there looks to be a fifth element now. All right, we got Russia collusion, Ukraine impeachment, classified documents, Arctic frost, which is the effort to repackage January 6th into some sort of insurrection against the Constitution. But Kash Patel saying the fifth element, which falls between 1, 2, and 3, 4, is the effort to hide vulnerabilities that were going on in the election and perhaps allow certain election rule changes to occur that violated state laws. I want to remind everybody that when Kash raided Georgia, he said that the law he was raiding it under was the law that says if you have laws in your state, you don't follow them, under a federal presidential election, you can be prosecuted for evading a law because the legislature, not the election bureaucrats, get to decide the manner of the election. And so in Georgia and in Wisconsin, there's some pretty strong evidence, and now maybe Michigan and Arizona, pretty strong evidence that some of the rules were changed that were not in compliance with what the legislatures want. That could become another part of the grand conspiracy, and Kash Patel confirmed that is a part of the grand conspiracy. It was the first time I'd heard that, was when he said it to Maria. So you have a 5-headed conspiracy now, 5 different subjects, 5 different operations going on, and it appears that they're doing that to put them all together, and you got a very senior prosecutor at the helm. Now, listen, a lot of the things that I have now put out, I originally FOIA'd since Donald Trump became president. I used the open records law, and I was turned down by multiple agencies. Lots of agencies have turned me down. I persisted, negotiated, cajoled, and we've been starting to get these documents released one by one, but it's too slow a process. It's an unnecessarily slow process for a president who clearly values transparency. I think the president's about to throw a hand grenade into the middle of that dynamic and create a new mechanism by which this information can be declassified and released. I think we'll hear about that in the next 10 days.
This is from April 21st. So we are 6 days from that. So it'd be about another 4 days. What's that grenade going to look like? And again, are some of these FOIAs being rejected because of ongoing investigations? My assessment of that is absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. And that's probably what's creating some of the delays. Some of these other information that maybe they're not part of an active investigation, but it's information that could hinder an active investigation. You could probably get a judge on a situation like that to allow you to slow it down, or tell the judge, hey, we will provide this FOIA after this other investigation is done so we don't jeopardize. I can see some things like that that are unfolding, but nonetheless, John Solomon's been pretty damn accurate. And so we will see what happens in the next couple of days as far as what that grenade from President Trump could look like. Is he just going to flood the market and just give everybody these FOIA requests? I don't know. We'll see. MJ Truth Ultra, kaboom, reporter, you said arrests are coming regarding the 2020 election. Can you elaborate? Yeah, Cash, can you elaborate? Well, of course he can.
You said in an interview over this weekend regarding the election into whether the 2020 presidential election was stolen, you said that there were going to be arrests coming, and I promise you it's coming soon. Hoping you could just elaborate a little bit on what that meant.
Sure. We have many ongoing investigations into large-scale conspiracies, and like we did today, we'll be announcing those arrests when the grand jury returns those indictments.
And that was 6 days ago. He didn't say we're going to submit the indictments. He says when they return those indictments. We're right at that window lines up with what John Solomon's reporting, folks. You know, what are we going to see on Cinco de Mayo? I'm smiling. I feel so happy right now. Military intelligence. General Michael Flynn posted this video of General Kane. This is seriously great and well-deserved praise for a group of quiet professionals, top to bottom. Again, for a group of quiet professionals. This clip is a little under 3 minutes. I want you guys, if you have distractions right now, if you're eating something, if you're getting ready to do something, I want you to just pause for a second and try not to be distracted as I play this video of General Kane and what he says. I want you guys to hear it. So this way, when I give you guys my assessment of this, you get and track what I'm saying. So pay very close attention to this man's words.
Today, I want to highlight and proudly describe the essential role of our intelligence enterprise and the role that they play in conducting our military operations. The totality of their work is the culmination of days, months, and in many cases, years of work by our uniformed and civilian intelligence professionals. We have been able to do the work that we are ordered to do because America's intelligence force, including our core collectors and analysts, have spent decades searching for every loose thread. from the determination of a particular intelligence requirement to that piece of intelligence being collected in the field by a military or interagency case officer, to the rigorous analysis that goes into reporting on that finding. Those team members spend their careers answering the incredibly important questions that we must attempt to answer before, during, and after operations. They live in the enemy's mind. Normally located behind the green door or behind the vault door in dark, windowless rooms across the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, are world-class intel members from DIA, our service intelligence components, NSA, NGA, CIA, NRO, and in the case of the operations that I've just described, the Office of Naval Intelligence, all work tirelessly to sift through the mountains of collected information using tools, tactics, techniques, and procedures that I'm not going to discuss today. The sun never sets on these world-class professionals, and their goal is every minute of every day to be on the account. And they know the enemy. They know their combat capability, their weapons, their industrial and economic systems, and they know their leaders' pattern of life, where they go, what they think, and what they do. Thanks to their work, we know Iran, and it is an incredible work that they do. Again, none of our operations that we've conducted during my time in this job could have been done without the service of these intelligence professionals. And the distance from those core collectors and those analysts to those Patriot crews who are defending U.S. forces forward or the fighter pilots is incredibly small. Every single day, as their mottos say, they are committed to excellence in the defense of the nation and to securing the future, and they're doing the work of the nation.
So, one, yes, you guys definitely caught a lot of very key statements. The Green Door, an operation that's been going on for decades. CIA, DIA, NSA, naval intelligence, essentially military intelligence, MI. You want to talk about an argument for military is the only way? This definitely seemed like that. This is a big deal. These quiet operators. I don't think he's just talking about the ghost. If you joined late, the trailer video that I played for tonight's show was the Ghost in the Machine Part 1, the first video on 4th Psychological Operations Group from a few years ago. And in that video, there's 5 words well, there's a bunch of words, but there's a segment where 5 specific words get mentioned. Perceive, persuade, change, influence, and inspire. That's a mission. That's the formula of a mission. But how do you make sure that formula gets you the result that you need this country, that you know this country needs? Because the deep state is going to insert people into that formula. So this way, organic media, not operatives, not paid people, not people that are read in, but just your everyday normal citizen, Jane and Joe, that says, I'm going to grab a mic, I'm going to do this reporting. How do you allow them to do a podcast or to go into an X space or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok? How do you allow these real people to go in there and have a fighting chance with the formula of all that when people are the deep state is going to try to use that deceive so that their message is wrong? Well, the only way to do that would be to also insert your operatives into that, to provide that information, guidance, whether known or unknown, to make sure that they have the ability to get fair information. Because here's the thing, the discernment of people is pretty good. Of course, I'm trying to be careful with my words here because I don't want people to think, I'm trying to reference something else. Just understand that in this world of podcasting and Substacks and radio and anything that's just considered media, you have real organic people that are giving you their honest assessment of things, but you also have to remember that their assessment could also be guided, good or bad, by influences from the deep state or influences from the good guys. It doesn't mean that they're nefarious. It's just we're human. And so you have to understand that the only way to make sure that the correct messaging is out there is to insert military intelligence into the field of media. And there are a lot of, in my opinion, there are a lot of people right now in media, whether it be the form of podcasts or any of these other things, that I 100% believe are absolutely military intelligence or military. You can agree with me or not, but I think this was definitely a recognition of those silent professionals, and not silent in the form of that they don't talk, silent in the form of nobody knows who they are and probably never will know who they are. Which takes us to the last part of this segment. Glenn Beck, as John Solomon says, predicts that the Southern Poverty Law Center case is only the beginning of what's to come from this DOJ. Now, this is going to come up later on the show tonight. But for now, for this segment, it applies to both. But we're going to close out this segment with this. So let's take a listen to what John Solomon tells Glenn Beck.
I mean, at least this one was announced by the DOJ. I mean,
Yeah.
It looks like we're going to prosecute here. More investigations on nonprofits coming?
Yeah, I think we're about to enter into, we have MAGA, we have MAHA, we have all these great acronyms. I think we're about to enter into a period of MAAA, Make America Accountable Again. I think with Pam Bondi moved aside, the speed at which the Justice Department will move on things that have been working in the system for months is picking up. And so there'll be more nonprofits that were doing things that probably are not allowed under the tax code. If you incorporate yourself to say, we want a tax exemption because we're going to do public good, and you obstruct law enforcement proceedings on the streets of Minnesota or somewhere else, you're probably in danger of having committed fraud. So I would look and see, I'm watching, I think there'll be more indictments in the nonprofit realm. Then we're looking at those who may have given false testimony or obstructed Congress. We know John Brennan was referred for that. James Comey was targeted for that. I think those are on the table right now. Then those who may have gone and gotten phone records and pierced the privacy of individuals, they're next in line. So this line keeps moving. And then I think in the summer and fall, we're going to talk a lot more about a case called Operation Round River. It may be the most troubling of the four.
Oh my gosh.
Round River. Just remember that name. What we believe it is. Yeah. So it falls between Crossfire Hurricane and then Plasmic Echo and Arctic Frost. Plasmic Echo and Arctic Frost are the things that evolve into Jack Smith's investigations. The classified documents is Plasmic Echo. Arctic Frost is the idea. Years later, we're going to go back and charge President Trump with a conspiracy because he and his people wanted to have alternate electors. Now, it's important in that Arctic Frost, which there was a great hearing on yesterday, 2 times in history before this, presidential candidates did submit alternate electors to Congress. 1960, John Kennedy. 1876, Sam Tilden. Neither time were those considered criminal acts. But in Donald Trump's world, he's considered a criminal for doing the third time. That's what Arctic Frost is. But between that, when Russia collusion and Crossfire Hurricane was ending, the FBI opened up a new investigation called Round River. And its goal was to neutralize anyone who would dare suggest that there was a corrupt relationship between Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and the Ukrainian government or the Ukrainian company Burisma, and to treat people who talked about it with certain speech parameters as national security threats. And I'm working hard to get those files declassified. And I think that's going to be the most troubling because I believe if what we're being told is true, and I want to check it until we get it there may have been speech parameters as the reason you were targeted. If you said something, you might have been assessed a security threat as a security threat by the FBI. That would be very troubling. I've seen some evidence in court filings in the last few days that entire law firms had their client records taken secretly under this investigation or spin-offs from it. You're supposed to have some privacy when you have a relationship with you and your lawyer. So we'll see where that leads. But all the people I've talked to in government think that Round River may be the most jaw-dropping of the 4 codename investigations that targeted Donald Trump and his followers.
Round River. I see your comment, Tal22. We will definitely cover Round River in the near future. So stay tuned. Folks, it's coming. It's absolutely coming. So to address the comment earlier in the show, Alpha, how do we get people's attention? One of the things you could do is start telling the people at your work and all that is, hey, there's some information circulating that we're going to see some arrests that are definitely going to make headlines surrounding these investigations into, President Trump with Crossfire Hurricane and these other things. So this way, when those arrests or indictments do hit the headlines, they're going to remember you told them. And then this is your opportunity to go back and be like, hey, remember I told you this? Oh yeah, you did. What else is going to happen? And that is a way to get your foot in the door with that. I want to let you guys know I do see the Rumble rants and I do see the super chat that came in from YouTube, and I will be reading those at the end of the show. For the audience over there on YouTube, a little over 600 people watching. Do me a solid, if you guys are watching on YouTube right now, smash that thumb. You smash that thumb, and it'll help with the algorithm to build more people in the audience. So if you guys could do me a solid, if you're watching over there on YouTube and you're enjoying the show, if you haven't already, subscribe. The content is free. Definitely would like to grow the family out there. But you could definitely do me a solid by hitting that thumb. And then, of course, to my family watching the other platforms, hit the heart, smash the thumb while you're at it as well. We're now going to cover one specific topic, and then we're going to let me just get into this one. If you guys remember, this is Fox News, and Fox One says, Fox One is expanding its podcast portfolio in a big way, adding 8 combined series from Fox News Media and Red Seat Ventures on the streaming service. Now, why is this important? If you watched the show last week, and shout out to you, and you know who you are, that gave me some solid intel of looking into Red Seat Ventures, you saw or heard, if you were listening, not watching, me bringing up Red Seat Ventures and the relationship it has to Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Barry Weiss, a whole bunch of characters. And the fact that Tucker Eddy came out and publicly said that people weren't talking about it. And all of a sudden, this kind of looks like damage control to me. Now, could this little podcast have that kind of impact? Maybe. But again, here it is. Red Seat Ventures. You can now stream must-see podcasts. Hang out with Sean Hannity, Ruthless, Riley Gaines, Planet Tyrus, Will Kane, Brett Cooper, Keeping It Real. Just remember, we talked about Red Seat Ventures before they wanted to bring it up. And again, shout out to you know who you are. Now, this next segment we're going to get into, this is the segment that we didn't get into last week because we didn't want to do a 5-hour show, right? We'll see what kind of adjustments we make tonight. But we're going to cover the Melania Trump part, the Epstein victims, and my kind of thoughts on this in a post that I wrote quite some time ago that people were pissed off about. But again, accuracy matters, and we're going to show that. So we are there. Nick Sorter reports, breaking: First Lady Melania Trump is addressing the nation, formally denying rumors that she had any sort of relationship with Epstein. Isn't it a freaking tragedy that the First Lady, as wonderful and beautiful as she is, would have to come out and even do this? It is. But I also think it was done for strategy. Let's take a listen to her statement.
With the disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today. The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect. I do not object to their ignorance, but rather I reject their mean-spirited attempts to defame my reputation. I never been friends with Epstein. Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence. My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a trivial note. I am not Epstein's victim. Epstein did not introduce me to Donald Trump. I met my husband by chance at a New York City party in 1998. This initial encounter with my husband is documented in detail in my book, Melania. The first time I crossed paths with Epstein was in the year 2000 at an event Donald and I attended together. At the time, I had never met Epstein and had no knowledge of his criminal undertakings.
An absolute tragedy. And then, of course, if you guys are following, she calls for the victims to come and to testify under oath. And we will see how that turned out. So let's keep going. General Flynn, breaking: the Epstein affair is not going away. Our First Lady, Melania Trump, just said, and rightly so, what the entire country has been thinking. Epstein was not alone. Every powerful person who thinks their name is buried in a sealed file should be very uncomfortable right now, because the First Lady of the United States of America just put Congress on notice. These women have been silenced, dismissed, and forgotten by a system that was designed to protect the guilty. Congress has the authority, the platform, and sworn testimony process to finally give these survivors their moment of truth in front of the entire world. Put them under oath. Open every hearing. Enter every word into the permanent congressional record so that no administration, no judge, and no billionaire can ever make it disappear again. The names are known. The network is real. The American people are done waiting for justice that just keeps getting delayed to protect people who were never supposed to be protected. Congress, do your job. The First Lady is watching, and so is America. I respond to the general: every one of them must be held accountable with a real consequence. Gino Milan posts: the Epstein survivors said they aren't testifying under oath. So you just heard we just explained what the First Lady said, calling them to testify under oath. You just heard the general saying, Congress, let them testify under oath. But wait, what? The Epstein survivors said they aren't testifying under oath? They resumed attacking Pam Bondi, their designated villain. Melania called their bluff and was proven right. If they're not cashing checks or doing Super Bowl commercials, they're not interested. Next, let's take a listen or read to the survivor statement. Let me open this up, make it a little easier to see here. Statement by the survivors in response to Melania Trump. Survivors of Jeffrey Epstein have already shown extraordinary courage by coming forward, filing reports, and giving testimony. Asking more of them now is a deflection of responsibility, not justice. Bullshit. They need to provide testimony under oath because they understand the penalty of perjury. First Lady Melania is now shifting the burden onto survivors under politicized conditions that protect those with power. The Department of Justice, law enforcement, prosecutors, and the Trump administration, which still has not fully complied with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. It also diverts attention from Pam Bondi, who must answer for withheld files and the exposure of survivors' identities. Those failures continue to put lives at risk while shielding enablers. Survivors have done their part. Now it's time for those in power to do theirs. And who are the names on this list? Remember them: Daniel Bensky, Liz Stain, Marajik, Cartoni, Amanda, Sky, Jane, Sure, Jess. You see the names. Melissa Redpill puts out, bam. Thank you, Anna Paulina Luna, for naming the names of traffickers. Rep. Anna Paulina Luna, Florida, names 4 Epstein co-conspirators, all women, who will be called to testify to Congress. Luna says they traffic young girls and must be prosecuted by the DOJ, even though they took plea deals. Let's take a listen to what she said.
That Jeffrey Epstein was running a intelligence gathering operation. In my professional opinion, I do believe it was a honeypot operation. And I do believe that there's a list of individuals who did engage in trafficking, were given these plea deals, and I'm going to name those individuals right now. The first one would be Leslie Groff. The second one, Sarah Kellen. The third one, Nadia Markova. And the fourth one, Adriana Ross. All of these women engaged in the trafficking of minors as adults. They were working and complicit with Jeffrey Epstein's operation. And in my opinion, they are not to be given victim status because they did partake in harming young girls. I remember seeing in some of the files, some of these girls were, as young as 10, 11 years old and older. And so obviously we have a lot of work to do, but I did want to come and give an update and
Again, where are the women that were holding up signs to attack and subvert President Trump with Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene? Why are they refusing to testify under oath? Why is it Massie and MTG telling those ladies, no, look, the First Lady, General Flynn, this administration, they're telling you to testify under oath so we can go and get these people? They know why. You know why. And guess what? If you don't, you're going to know why now. This article or thread I wrote back in November of 2025. And I am going to read it. It's not too long because it's important, because I took so much grief when I put this out there. And you'll understand why. Remember, this is November of last year. The Epstein scam nobody wants you to see. Are victims being used as political weapons to attack President Trump, who is taking down the deep state in order to protect the real monsters? Why can't we ask the obvious? If someone claims to be a victim but refuses to name names, refuses to explain how the operation worked, refuses to warn the public, and instead hides critical information behind paywalls, book deals, paid subscriber spaces, then the motives must be questioned. Not all victims are honest. Not all survivors tell the whole story. This is never mentioned, but always gaslit. Ignoring the fact jeopardizes legitimate victims. Honest question. If a victim becomes a recruiter, a handler, or a trafficker, are they still a victim? If you are victimized in the world and then trick your siblings or friends into this world, what does that make you? If the victim only did it as a means of survival, then why allow years to pass and remain silent? Just name the names and let the investigations begin. And remember, Democrats controlled the government from 2021 to 2025. They had the Hunter laptop. They had Ashley Biden's diary outlining inappropriate sexual behavior involving Joe Biden. They had every justification to expose Epstein's network, and yet total silence. Why? Why no names? Why no network exposed? Why no public warning to protect future victims? If the behavior is financially motivated, if the truth is only for sale, the audience needs to understand you are being managed, not informed. Why do these public victims keep showing up at Massie and MTG events and still give the public nothing? This is the part that calls into question the whole motive. These same victims are paraded in front of Massie media rallies, MTG press conferences, full news crews, major media cameras, and with the microphone in hand with a full platform. What do they give the American people? No names, no handlers, no customers, no recruiters, no operational breakdown, no methods, nothing that protects a single child. Instead, we get political attacks on Trump, the one president who's actually put Epstein in prison the first time, who is actually rescuing missing children right now, over 100,000 rescued in under 11 months, thousands of traffickers arrested in 11 months. Ask yourself, if the goal is saving victims, why spend your airtime attacking Trump while protecting the very people who trafficked you? Who funds these appearances? Who coaches the messaging? Why does every camera angle lead to politics but never exposure? When the spotlight is used for support politics instead of protection. You're not watching a victim, you're watching a narrative asset. How do we get the truth when agendas hijack the Epstein story? You can't help real victims until you expose the machine hiding behind them. To reach the truth, we need names, not initials, networks, not vague stories, clear operational detail, not emotional monologues, free access to critical information, not monetized trauma, transparency, not coordinated political messaging. When the victim narrative becomes a PR operation, a marketing tool, or a political weapon, the real victims get buried and the predators stay protected. You get to the truth by demanding raw, unfiltered facts, not curated storylines that benefit the same people who stayed silent from 21 to 25, while Epstein's story could have been blown wide open. Again, they're not protecting children, they're protecting the network. And here it is, and I called it the Epstein scam. They don't want you to see. And again, I'm just going to put it out there, even though it pisses people off. I told you so. I was right. And when Melania Trump came out and made this statement, when General Flynn came out and made this statement, this is the case, folks. And one of those ladies, I think, or two of them, one for sure, was speaking at Massey's and MTG's event. And for those that, oh, she was a victim when she did recruiting. No, she was not. She was an adult. I hope that brings in some insight. Let's close this up a little bit, shift gears a little bit, but not too much. Charles Down puts, Dan Bongino's call logs prove Thomas Massey made zero effort to reach the Trump administration just days before his Epstein press conference with MTG and Ro Khanna, where they labeled Trump a pedophile protector. I confronted Massey on November 18th, the same day they scheduled a call with Bongino was canceled. During our conversation, Massey refused to apologize for calling Trump a pedophile protector and then denied ever saying it. That's especially rich since he was heading to speak in front of anti-Trump protesters holding pre-printed signs that read, Trump is a pedophile protector. All Massey does is lie, vote him out. Now, why is this important? Well, if you've heard about the manifesto of the shooter from the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which we're going to get into towards the end of this show, this is one of his motives of why he tried to assassinate Trump. These are the people to blame. They want us blaming each other for this rhetoric. Our aspects of our government, these NGOs, these entities, these politicians, they're the ones pushing the rhetoric that's creating this violent extremism that's happening across this country, regardless of party lines. Don't blame each other. Blame the apparatus that's facilitating this. General Flynn, speaking for myself and probably millions of other Americans, I want all these members' names uncovered immediately, and I want all the Epstein's files released. This information is the people's information, and it belongs in the public record in order for us to make better and more informed decisions as to who we are supposed to represent us in this constitutional republic. I, for one, don't want a bunch of immoral scumbags running our country. Absolutely agree with the general on here. Eric Swalwell is now facing an expulsion vote in the House because of the sexual misconduct accusations against him. There have been 268 settlements for workplace disputes, including for sexual misconduct, totaling $17 million in taxpayer money. A bunch of sick degenerates in our Congress and in our government. And they want you to believe that Trump is the pedophile protector. They want you to believe that the director of the FBI is a drunk. And shame on the people that try to exploit it as a fucking joke, including my friends. You might find humor in it, but they're using that rhetoric to subvert the support of this administration. This shit ain't funny. Benny Johnson, I cannot believe that Rep. Lauren Boebert just told me about the life insurance folder on the Anthony Weiner laptop. Pizza, you see that word. Frazzle, you see that word. I want to make sure this survives on YouTube. I don't know if it will because we're going to play this clip. Cross your fingers, YouTube. Cross your fingers.
I actually was working on getting the Anthony Weiner laptop because I want to see the files that are on this. And while we still had Attorney General Pam Bondi, she had sent me over to the FBI, and there is no active search warrant on that computer. And so they are saying that I am unable to view it without a new search warrant. And there has to be new information. I think these Epstein files give us new information to look into the Anthony Weiner laptop.
Yes.
I absolutely want to know what was on there, what was the secret folder that was titled Life Insurance, that had frazzle.rip, where people get the frazzle drip story from. I want to see this video. If it's totally fake, if it's not there, I'll come out and say it. I want to see what people are talking about. These things don't just originate out of nowhere. So if it means issuing a subpoena from the Oversight Committee to get my hands on this laptop, then that's what I will do. If there's anything linking the Anthony Weiner laptop to the Epstein files, I will use that to get another search warrant. But I'm getting my hands on this laptop and looking to see what was in it. It's been said that FBI agents who went in and viewed this laptop, many of them are not alive anymore. So, what is it with this laptop? Apparently, it's been said that many have committed suicide, that it was so disturbing. But also, a lot of people around Hillary Clinton and her cohorts seem to commit suicide, oddly.
There's a whole Wikipedia page.
A whole page.
Yes, that's right. There's a lot to unpack there, Congresswoman. So, why hasn't anybody seen what's on this laptop? And what do you expect to find?
Well, I think originally members of Congress were afraid of it. They were called conspiracy theorists, and there was obviously the man who went into Comet Ping Pong Pizza and opened fire. Unacceptable. And so people just want to stay away. I don't want to be associated with it. I'd rather not know. I'm just going to believe the narrative and run with that. I have an election to win. No need to actually dig into something if it's going to cost me my seat and my place in office. So I want to see it. I want to know what's on there and investigate it. There are many things that we still need to investigate.
I need to get her on this podcast. I'll see if I can use my last name to get me some influence on that. I don't want to correct her. It wasn't FBI that reviewed it that all of a sudden were unalived. That was NYPD officers and detectives. And I've talked about that in the past. But here's a theory that I have on why that she's bringing it up now and why we're not going to see it right now. And here's why. Active investigations. But her bringing it out into this conversation as a congresswoman is making it real. It's not her confirming that this information is legitimate. It's her saying, hey, when we look at what's going on with Epstein, when we look at what's going on with these other cases, there's, we need to dive into this Weiner laptop and see if there's things here that are legitimate. She's making the speculation something that's no longer just speculation, but something that has now crossed the line of this needs to be a real investigation. I believe that's happening right now because it's already being investigated. It has been investigated. And this is getting this thing brought back into the conversation so people don't forget about it. And so that way it becomes very real. But again, I don't think we see the contents of it yet because, again, that would be evidence. And on 55 created a phenomenal video here with JD Vance talking about pizza, the word investigation. I thought it would be a good time to post this video. Who gave WikiLeaks the emails? And just to recap this segment as we close it out, folks. Melania Trump comes out, says, hey, I'm not a part of Epstein. Let's smash those rumors. We want these victims to come out and testify under oath. We have General Flynn saying, yes, let's do this. First lady's calling for it. Followed by the quote unquote victims saying, well, we're not going to do that. make every excuse in the book for it. Followed with, now we have a congresswoman out there that's saying, hey, let's look into that folder called the insurance folder, the insurance file on Anthony Weiner's laptop. Anthony Weiner, who was once married to Huma Abedin, who's tied to Hillary Clinton, which is tied to that Frazzle. I won't say any more story. And then all of a sudden, you also get the vice president say, hey, yeah, I heard about this pizza thing and I heard about this Frazzle thing. Maybe we should look into it. On top of, we have Rudy Giuliani, remember all the way beating, give me 3 months. Folks, FBI cash taking out the rank and file of the deep state. John Solomon saying, hey, we got these different operations that are in play. Round River, things tied into, you weren't supposed to talk about Metabiota and Hunter Biden. Right? Folks, this stuff, it's all coming into the fatal funnel of the deep state, which means things are going to get spicy. So again, let's shout out to ANON55. Make sure you guys are supporting this guy. He does phenomenal work on social media. Let's enjoy this video.
In the early morning hours of July 10th, 2016, D.C. Metro Police found Rich lying on the ground, shot twice in the back. He later died at a hospital. Police say nothing was taken from Rich, and they're looking into whether it was a botched robbery. He moved to D.C. and worked as the voter expansion data director for the Democratic National Committee.
Nothing was taken, but they're calling it a botched robbery? Seth Rich was shot in the back 2 times on the side of the road at 4 in the morning, and they didn't take anything. That sounds like a hit. The shooter didn't go up to Rich and demand anything, he crept up behind him, which means he was following him. Both shots being in the back means Rich didn't know the shooter was there. The shooter fires 2 shots and dips out. That's not a robbery.
Donald Trump has had a disastrous few weeks. If you look at the polls, he needs a miracle. In the American political lexicon, there's such a thing as the October surprise. The stuff that you're sitting on, is an October surprise in there? Do you even know what you're sitting on?
WikiLeaks never sits on material. Whistleblowers go to significant efforts to get us material, and often very significant risks. There's a 27-year-old works for the DNC who was shot in the back, murdered just 2 weeks ago for unknown reasons as he was walking down the street in Washington. So
that was just a robbery, I believe, wasn't it?
No, there's no finding. So
what are you suggesting? What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that our sources take risks, and they become concerned to see things occurring like that.
But was he one of your sources then? I mean,
we don't comment on who our sources are.
But why make the suggestion about a young guy being shot in the streets of Washington?
Because we have to understand how high the stakes are in the United States, and that our sources are, our sources face serious risks. That's why they come to us, so we can protect their anonymity.
But it's quite something to suggest a murder. That's basically what you're doing.
Well, that others have suggested that. We are investigating to understand what happened in that situation with Seth Rich. I think it is a concerning situation. There's not a conclusion yet. We wouldn't be willing to state a conclusion, but we are concerned about it. And more importantly, a variety of WikiLeaks sources are concerned when that kind of thing happens.
Julian Assange was asked if the DNC email drop would help Trump. Assange had no reason to bring up Seth Rich. He did it to confirm that Rich gave the DNC emails to WikiLeaks and was killed for it. Think about all the information that came out of that: Clinton, spirit cooking, pedopodestas, Pizzagate, and a lot more.
Great work to deliver a message. And you guys know that I've been working on my angle regarding former Metropolitan Police Department officer Michael Fanone and what ties or knowledge he may have had or involvement he may have had with Seth Rich or the guys that assassinated or killed Seth Rich. Stand by to stand by. So now we're going to get into, when we're listening to General Kane talking about military intelligence and, mentioning the CIA, DIA, FBI, NSA, all these different apparatuses. I don't think you mentioned the FBI actually. But do we have two CIAs? Well, maybe, because it seems that Bongino thinks that there was two FBIs. Let me play this and you'll see where I'm going with this, I think.
There were two FBIs trying to help you solve the A, B, and C problems, and that's FBI 1 and FBI 2. Like, there's two FBI. Yes, there were two FBIs. There was the FBI of, like, bust your ass, VCAC agents, violent crimes against children, white-collar agents, violent crime fugitive task force. And some of these guys, I was just honored to be in the room. They were like, we have this TFO, task force officer down in Miami. This guy, his first name's Joe, I won't say his last name. This guy's been on the job 38 years. You know how many violent criminals are off the street because of this guy and the agents he works with? I mean, he's a TFO, but the agents were like that too. And then you had this other FBI, which was populated with, to say, unfortunately, snakes as being nice. And here's the problem, Sean. It wasn't always obvious which FBI they were in. So you're trying to solve like a level A problem, which has like no solution. There's a shitty solution and a shittier one. And I got to tell you, it's almost like a coin toss, because either way, someone's going to get hurt. Okay. And you're trying to figure this out and you're asking someone for advice. You've only been there a couple weeks and you don't know if that person is part of the good FBI or the bad FBI.
Very interesting. Now, just to go down memory lane, when he brings up TFO, task force officer, I was a TFO for a few years. Some of the funnest times in my career as a detective. Definitely miss it sometimes. Which sets us up for this. Department of State puts out this video. Be the face of America wherever America needs you. Join the United States Foreign Service. Take a listen to this.
As Foreign Service officers, you are sample Americans. And many people abroad will think better or worse of the United States because of what you are and what you do.
There's the website if some of you guys want to join. Again, this was done on April Fool's Day, April 1st. Coinky dink, right? But are we bringing in good people into these intelligence apparatuses to help with the problem that Bongino recognized in the FBI? It definitely looks that way. And we got a few more here to kind of articulate this point. This comes from the CIA now. This was on April 7th. Take a listen to this one. These are all pretty short.
It's like finding a needle in a haystack, finding this pilot. And the CIA was unbelievable.
On Saturday morning, we achieved our primary objective by finding and providing confirmation that one of America's best and bravest was alive.
The CIA was very responsible for finding this little speck.
Still invisible to the enemy, but not to the CIA.
I want to thank the CIA, too. I don't think they get enough credit.
I think I'd be a good guy, CIA guy. Some of you are like, you already are. Don't say something like that. Adam puts out, I think about this CIA tweet a lot. And this is from 2018. CIA officers work as scientists, support staff, engineers, economists, linguists, mathematicians, secretaries, accountants, inventors, cartographers, architects, psychologists, police officers, editors, graphic designers, auto mechanics, historians, museum curators, and more. Do podcasters fall under more? I don't know. I'm just poking at a few people right there. But again, that's in 2018 with 911 reposts. Sure, that don't mean anything. And then we'll wrap up this part with this. And I can't wait to do an interview with Chase. The disrespected trucker puts this out. 90% of news anchors were CIA operatives. If you've never seen this video before, this is going to rock your socks.
If you talk to your parents, every news anchor that they remember from their childhood, there's like a 90% chance that was actual CIA operative. And this is documented, released documents. Guys like Walter Cronkite, like one of the most famous news anchors of all time, working for the CIA to engineer reality. And they're in the business of engineering reality. And you just have to understand that so much of our reality is engineered. It doesn't mean you walk around like a schizophrenic thinking that everything's out to get you, everybody's targeting you. You see something happen on the news, you see something happen in your life, and you just have one word. Just memorize this one word when anybody listening, when you hear that stuff or see that stuff. Maybe. They say, oh, this happened today because of this one thing. Maybe. Just maybe. You don't have to say there's some global cabal and like I need to drill down to the end and go break into the Bohemian Grove and like figure out all the shit that's going on. You don't need to do all that. Just maybe. That word can protect you from so much of the bullshit that's going on with engineered reality.
Maybe. For those questions that you guys are asking right now. Now let's move into the shills, the operatives, the collapse of the deep state. This first part is going to set that up. This last part of the show, it's a lengthy part, but it's going to be a fun part. So if you're feeling tired, stretch out, be pretty good. Only a couple of video clips left, and we'll probably fly through this pretty interesting. Janet Robinson puts this clip out. Always interesting to see the framing, wordsmithing, and perspective of the legacy-ish media publication. And this is the Hollywood Reporter that puts this out. But here's the point I want you guys to recognize this at the beginning of this. Who I don't believe Tucker Carlson or Alex Jones or Megyn Kelly or Laura Loomer or Nick Fuentes. I don't believe these people aren't the face of MAGA or were the face of MAGA at one point. They may be the self-proclaimed faces of MAGA, but these people don't live the lifestyles we do. They don't intermingle in our circles. The vast majority of them don't have a financial care in the world. They're at the galas with these people. MAGA's you, me. It's the truckers. It's the agriculture workers, the blue collar worker, the teachers, the cops, the first responders, even the firefighters. Oh, God. I almost threw up in my mouth. I hate giving firefighters love. Gross. Actually, can I take it back? Can I take that part back? Just plain, kind of. I mean, you got to slide down poles. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to stop. Squirrel. But here's the thing. Why do they get to decide who the face MAGA is? Again, this is the psychological manipulation of your mind. This is the seeding of, we're going to tell you who the new face of MAGA is. We're going to tell you because then you guys are paying attention to these people. So then when these people come in and they start to fracture, when they start to argue, when they start to come at each other, then you're going to buy off on the argument that, oh my God, MAGA's falling apart. MAGA's dead because we told you who the face of it is so that when the face of it fights and argues, you guys will believe that psychological operation. I like that there's some people that agree with my take on firefighters. I wish we could give like stars. I wish I could give a star to some of the comments that you guys put in the chat. If you've never experienced the live chat, you got to jump in there. I call it the show within a show. Same thing. I'm watching you guys over there on YouTube. And shout out to you guys. Over 2,400 people watching live on Rumble. Getting close to 700 people watching live on YouTube and a little over 2,200 people watching live on the other platforms. So again, thank you guys for being here. And again, if you can share the content, I appreciate it. If you like it, subscribe. It's free. Definitely helps me out. But in this article, you got MAGA versus MAGA. Who's winning the right-wing media meltdown? Again, this is what they want you to believe. Tucker Carlson versus Ben Shapiro. Neither one of them is the face of MAGA. Candace Owens versus Mark Levin. Neither one of them is the face of MAGA. This is mainstream media trying to rebrand itself as alt media. And I hope you guys aren't falling for this. Navy vet. Tucker Carlson is a clown and hates America, regardless of whether you think he's playing a role or whether you think he's legitimately bad is irrelevant. What is the content of the information he's saying? And is the information he's saying have a net positive or negative with regards to our community? And at some point, and this is one of the most frustrating things I have, and I love you guys, especially those of you in my audience, but sometimes people go full retard. I'm guilty of it too. I get it. When everybody wants to write it, it's a role. It's a role. Understand that you're never going to have the good guys facilitate a role that the consequence of what they're doing outweighs the benefit. It won't happen. That's not how we would structure an operation going in undercover work. If you are going to have what I call controlled chaos, that controlled chaos has to have a better outcome than the risk factors that are associated with that. So when Tucker Carlson comes out and makes the statement that he's about to make, you don't get that. Let's take a listen to what he's saying so you guys understand what I'm talking about.
You and I and everyone else who supported him, you wrote speeches for him, I campaigned for him. I mean, we're implicated in this for sure.
Yes.
It's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, or like, oh, this is bad, I'm out. It's like in very small ways, but in real ways, you and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now.
Yes.
So I do think it's like a moment to wrestle with our own consciences. You know, we'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be. And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people. It was not intentional. That's all I'll say. But anyway, but the question does present itself immediately, like, what is this? Was this always the plan? You don't want to be a conspiracy nut, but like, clearly there were signs of low character. We knew that.
Yes.
But it didn't, there are tons of people of low character who like outperform their character. It doesn't have to be
sort of the norm, actually, these days. I would say
I've outperformed my character a lot. I don't have especially high character, right? But you know, you try to you try your best. But what was this? Was this always the plan?
You know, looking back after the last year and a half, it seems like it kind of was, and it's easy. Well, you could get really deep about it and say, what was Butler? Like, how was it that and Ryan Ruth, I mean, he was subject to 2 legitimate assassination attempts. Have we ever gotten to the bottom? I know you've talked a lot about this, but have we ever gotten to the bottom of that?
I haven't talked a lot about it. I don't know the answer, but I know that those investigations have been stymied. Fact.
Yeah, stymied from the very top, from people who actually would have the power to get to the bottom of it.
And the motive.
Yes,
yeah,
very much. So the enormous amount of money he got from Miriam Adelson now seems suspect to a lot of people at the time. But, you know, there's a lot of money in politics. To run for president requires an enormous, I mean, Kathleen Camel-Toe went through $2 billion in 4 months. So, sure, there's an argument to be made that you get money from those who will give it to you. It's just the nature of that game. But it's still reprehensible, and it's still a big question mark. Why would someone who has obvious and demonstrated allegiance to a foreign power give Donald Trump $250 million while he's running for president? I mean, how is that defensible? It's really not. If Russia had given a PAC for Trump, you know, if the mayor of Moscow had somehow, you know, assembled an enormous amount of money and put it in a 501c3 for Trump's benefit, would that have been acceptable? Of course it wouldn't have been. So what does it's so basic, comes back to the money. Like, what did they get in return for that amount of investment? And it's clear.
I get it. No, I mean, of course, I agree with every word that you're saying. I just think given his behavior and his demonstrated disloyalty and viciousness to previous supporters,
yes,
why wouldn't he display the same lack of loyalty to Miriam Adelson? I mean, that's kind of the question. The only people he's been loyal to are the neocons and his donors.
That is your Tucker Carlson. Now, if people giving you money means that you owe them something, then why doesn't Tucker Carlson show us the people that have invested into TCN? Why doesn't he? Patrick Bet-David called him out, said, hey, let's get 3 financial networks. You pick one, I pick one, and then we find one in the middle. We pay the serious money, and they go through all our financial ties, include the financial ties to our wives. He said, I ain't got nothing to hide. We'll break it down to the shell companies, to everything. Patrick Bet-David says, you think I'm paid? You think I'm getting the 7,000 shekels from Israel? We're going to find out about it. And Tucker, we'll find out if you're getting some Qatari money. Tucker Carlson hasn't even responded to it. Imagine my surprise. Let's get into another clown. This one was disappointing because I really liked Owen. The Misfit Patriot puts, Trump literally pardoned this ungrateful. And now he's saying this administration's corrupt is extreme and unprecedented. I guess the last administration that tried to lock him in jail cell was reasonable and moral one. I gotta do an interview with the Misfit. I'm liking this guy more and more. And he's talking about Owen Schroyer. Owen Schroyer says the level of corruption in the U.S. government during the second Trump administration is extreme and unprecedented. That's the crazy part, unprecedented. He's saying that from his studio when the prior administration put him and me both in solitary confinement. But he's saying that this administration's unprecedented. You got to hear it for yourself.
Have the power of the purse of the United States government to say, hey, if we're going to invest in this company or that company, maybe they get a deal to build a development in the Gaza Strip, they're going to get a government contract. And we've seen this multiple times with the Trump family, whether it's data servers, whether it's AI, whether it's drone, defense contracts. The Trump family gets in at the bottom of these companies, invests in these companies, then they get a lucrative government contract, the stock soars, the value of the company soars, and now they're in a prime position to get these deals to build these massive developments that they claim are going to make billions of dollars.
Why doesn't Owen talk about Trump's value entering his presidency in 2016 and his value exiting his presidency in 2021? Oh, I know why. Because then we would see that Trump lost a tremendous amount of money. This is propaganda, folks. Doesn't matter who it comes from. You call them out. And Owen's full of shit here. Then you got this retard. RT puts out, Trump tried to use nuclear codes in an emergency meeting blocked by top Army General Kane, ex-CIA Johnson. This shit is hilarious. You got to hear it for yourself or you wouldn't believe me.
Got some problems. They got to try to deal with it. And then there was a report out that they had an emergency meeting Saturday night. And apparently, well, one report coming out of that meeting at the White House is that Trump wanted to use the nuclear codes, and General Dan Kane stood up and said no. He invoked his privilege as the head of the military, so to speak. It was apparently quite a blow up. There are pictures of Kane coming out of that meeting with his head down to the ground. So, you know, there's some very, very bizarre things going on in D.C.
These they're absolute clowns. Absolute. I like what Mr. Bob 1956 said in the chat. That's the kind of clown. I agree with you tremendously. And then we get to this clown. Some of y'all still like him. I don't get it. The general puts, breaking, a top White House official says Kash Patel is expected to be the next member of this administration to exit. We've been hearing that since last year, including some of my friends. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche stated recently he is not done investigating Jeffrey Epstein. Let's take a listen to this because it matters.
Everybody has said from day one, this should have been handled much differently for years and years and years and wasn't. As far as your question about these famous or these recognizable names that are having to step down from boards or leave their posts teaching, Prince Andrew, if you look at the reasons why in each of those cases, at least that I've seen, it's not because they were caught doing something criminal. So it's not as if there was a video of any of them abusing a minor. It's just because of their relationship with Epstein. And so listen, people have said, and it's being floated around X, and it's a lie, that I have said that we're done investigating. I have never said that, and I will never say that. What I have said is what I said to you a minute ago, which is that the FBI possesses those files. Now the whole world has them. We need witnesses. We need victims. We need people that, if we're missing something, if there's somebody out there that abused women, whether it was 1990, because there's no statute of limitations, assuming they're underage, or as late as 2017, before Epstein was investigated, come forward. Bring us your proof, and we'll investigate it. Director Patel has said he will talk to any victim. His agents will work any case, and that's what we've said from day one. So, look, I understand the frustration. We've been working extremely hard to be as transparent as we can with the American people, and we didn't get everything right. We didn't. Part of that was because the law didn't let us release things. Part of it was communications, which we should have done a better job of. But we have been transparent, and I hope that your listeners and that the folks that pay attention to this get there.
Tal22 says, if you meet Cash in person, he's quite fit. He is quite fit. As a matter of fact, I remember shaking his hand. I was like, this dude's got a good grip. I always, men judge men, and I'll tell you this, Cash had a solid grip. It was definitely impressive. This post comes from July of last year. Be patient, it's coming. No, the truth was not revealed yet. FISA equals the start. Who is AG Pam Bondi's deputy AG? Why does it matter? What did he post a few days ago? Who was Rachel Brand? Why was she dismissed? Think timing. Todd W. Blanche is currently the U.S. Deputy Attorney General and former prosecutor at where? SDNY. This was July of last year. What did I say? Why does it matter? I'm just good at guessing. But on July 11th of 2025, Todd Blanche put, I work closely with FBI Director Cash and FBI Deputy Director Bongino on the joint FBI and DOJ memo regarding the Epstein files. All of us signed off on the contents of the memo and the conclusions stated in the memo. The suggestion by anyone that there was any daylight between the FBI and DOJ leadership on this memo's composition and release is patently false. It's getting good, folks. It's getting good. Shift gears here just a little bit. Deepfake quotes put, sometimes it's not what's being said, it's how everyone starts saying it at the same time. Pay attention to patterns, not personalities. That's great advice.
It's a show, the whole thing. And maybe that sounds crazy, or maybe it's just the feeling you get when something stops feeling real. When voices that once felt independent start sounding the same. Same timing, same themes, same sudden shifts. They don't fully agree. They don't fully disagree either. Just enough friction to keep your attention. Just enough alignment to shape your perception. And you start to notice it. The tone feels off. The conviction feels performed. And reactions feel engineered. Not necessarily fake, but not entirely organic either. And that's the point. Because influence doesn't require control. It requires direction. A nudge here, a narrative there. And before you know it, people aren't reacting to reality. They're reacting to a version of it. I'm not here to tell you what's true. I'm just saying, if it feels coordinated, pay attention to that. Because whether it is or is not, the effect is the same. The only thing that matters is this. Be careful what you absorb. Be careful what you repeat. And be careful who benefits from your reaction. Because whatever this is, it's not random. My friends, we're all anonymous. And we're all in it together.
Interesting. We are coming to our final destination, folks, here. We're going to talk Southern Poverty Law Center and the collapse of this deep state operation that is unfolding in real time if you are paying attention to see it. Associated Press reports breaking Southern Poverty Law Center says that faces investigation by Justice Department over the past use of paid informants to infiltrate extremist groups. FBI puts out news release. Federal grand jury charges Southern Poverty Law Center for wire fraud, false statements, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Between 2014 and 2023, the SPLC secretly funneled more than $3 million in donated funds to individuals who were associated with various violent extremist groups, including the Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Nations, and National Socialist Party of America. Very interesting. Dan Bongino puts this post out there. More things happening. U.S. Department of Justice happening now. Justice Department announces the indictment against SPLC. Our indictment alleges SPLC secretly funneled more than $3 million in funds to members of the white supremacist and extremist groups. What are we talking about here? National Alliance affiliate, more than $1 million. Aryan Nations affiliate, over $300K. Unite the Right, over $270K. Former National Alliance chairman, over $140K. Former KKK members, over 73,000. American Front president and felon, over 20,000. What? American Front? What? The indictment alleges between 2014 and 2023. We kind of covered that already. I'm not going to repeat it again. TechnoFog, great account. If you guys aren't following this one, I would highly recommend. This should be on your top 10 list of people to follow. And y'all know I don't say that lightly. The TechnoFog should be one of your top 10 accounts. The Southern Poverty Law Center has been indicted, 11 counts of wire fraud and false statements. The extremists the SPLC investigated were on the SPLC payroll. Doing so hid the fact that while the SPLC received donation money under the auspices that funds would be used to dismantle violent extremist groups, this donation money was instead being used in part by the SPLC to pay leaders and others within the same violent extremist groups more than $3 million. Between 2014 and 2023, SPLC secretly paid F9 more than $1 million. Between 2014 and 2016, the SPLC secretly paid F30 more than $70,000. This overlapped the time period in which F30 was featured on SPLC's Extremist Files webpage. F Unknown and their spouse were involved in litigation where the Ku Klux Klan applied to take part in the Adopt a Highway program. During the course of litigation, known payments were traced from SPLC to F Unknown, which exceeded $3,500. Now, the important part here, and this is out of the four of them, the one I caught my attention the most, payments were traced from SPLC. In other words, what they're saying is a lot of these payments weren't direct, which means that they were probably finding shell organizations, front companies as NGOs, third, fourth, fifth parties, but nonetheless, this talks criminal enterprise, folks. That's a solid catch right there. Let's take a look at what Blanche has to say here on the Ingram angle.
Mr. Acting Attorney General, how did they get away with this for so long?
I mean, it's a great question. I said today during the press conference that we know that this investigation was opened during the Biden administration and then mysteriously closed. I really don't have any information about why it was closed. And then we started again last year, the FBI did, working with the U.S. Attorney in Alabama. And it's extraordinarily egregious. You just talked about it. But imagine a donor to the SPLC if they were told, by the way, we're going to give the money you're giving us to the Ku Klux Klan. Okay? Like, it's in some cases over $1 million. I mean, it's incredible.
Now, they say they're no longer using these informants in this way and that it was necessary because they had all sorts of threats against the organization, firebombing threats and other acts of purported violence. And that's why they had to use these informants. And to that, you say?
Well, to that I say, for one, the indictment charges all the way through 2023. So I'm here to speak about what they're doing right now, but that indictment charges a long period of time through 2023. And second, and more importantly, there's no allegation or information in the indictment that suggests they shared that information with law enforcement. They have communicated.
They said they did.
Well, they have communicated when they so chose with law enforcement over the years. There's no information that we have that suggests that the money that they were paying to these informants and these members of these organizations, they then turned around and shared what they learned with law enforcement. To the contrary, or else we would have known from their own words that they had given this money to these guys, and we didn't know it.
What about Charlottesville and the Charlottesville Unite the Right rally? Were they involved in that?
Yes. So what we allege in the indictment and what the grand jury found is that one of the individuals that they paid was one of the folks who helped organize that terrible event. And so so imagine what we're talking about, Laura. We're talking about an organization that actively came out and just screamed it from the top of their lungs.
So just so people understand watching this, did these informants in some cases, given the evidence you've seen, actually initiate what would ultimately be these activities? And obviously Charlottesville ended with a tragedy.
Well, we know that they were part of those. They were part of it. Whether they were the leaders or the initiators, that'll come out, I think, eventually. But what we do know is that the very entities that this group was raising money to go against are the very entities that they were taking the money in and paying to these entities and these individuals associated with those groups.
This is going to be fire. Getting ready to pull something up for you guys. Let me go to the next one because we're not done. Right here we have Abraham Uni City, 17Q. Cash Patel just dropped a bomb on Southern Poverty Law Center, and the timing is no coincidence. And with that, let me let you guys hear this one because these all play into each other.
What we're here today is to announce what the general just told you. The Southern Poverty Law Center, in a massive, sweeping indictment, has been charged with allegations of fraud and using the banking system to perpetrate that fraud. I just want to talk about a couple of brief things here. The Southern Poverty Law Center themselves advertise to raise money to dismantle violent extremist groups for a period of at least a decade. They use their donor network to raise money to purportedly dismantle violent extremist groups. However, the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, used the money they raised from their donor network to actually pay the leadership of these very groups. I just want to say that again. They used the fraudulently raised money by lying to their donor network, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually pay the leadership of these supposed violent extremist groups. The groups, as the general laid out, include the Ku Klux Klan, the United Klans of America, Unite to Right, National Alliance, the National Socialist Movement, the Aryan Nation Motorcycle Club, and the National Socialist Party of America, and also the American Front. In at least one of these matters, our investigation revealed that funds were used to facilitate the commission of further state and federal offenses, totaling over $3 million. Furthermore, our investigation revealed that the Southern Poverty Law Center, on top of perpetuating this widespread, decade-long, multi-million-dollar fraud, conducted more criminal activity. They attempted to hide their criminal activity from our financial banking network. They set up shell companies and entities around America so that the financial institutions that we rely on as everyday Americans were deceived in believing that money was not coming from the Southern Poverty Law Center in the perpetration of this scheme and fraud, but rather fictitious entities they stood up to perpetuate this ongoing fraud. This is a serious and egregious violation of a group that purported to dismantle violent extremist groups, but in turn actually only fueled the hatred. This is an important case brought by President Trump's administration. We're thankful to the president for his leadership and funding of not just the FBI and DOJ, but his commitment to go out there and wipe out fraud and conspiracy and waste and abuse wherever it occurs, including the Southern Poverty Law Center. Even though this money was made to appear to be coming from legitimate people and legitimate entities, we at the FBI, with our great partners at the Department of Justice and in the state of Alabama, were able to comb through a decade worth of material, a scheme that took a decade to build, so that we were able to follow the money, because money never lies, and they got caught. As the Attorney General said, these charges are varying. They are widespread and wide-ranging, and this investigation is very much ongoing. Today, we're here to announce the charges of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and this investigation and the individuals who are responsible will be brought to justice. Thank you, General.
This is going to be phenomenal. And I agree with John Solomon. This is just the beginning. I guarantee you, I shouldn't say guarantee. No, because I know. I guarantee you, you're going to see names like the Lincoln Project, Expedition Hunters, Midas Media, that I imagine are going to have, I imagine they're going to be in the headlines. That is my suspicion there. Eagle Ed Martin. SPLC pays zero taxes. Corrupt. They pay zero state, local taxes, zero property tax on huge properties they own in Alabama, and they pay no sales tax on anything they buy from paper to cars. And they have a $1 billion endowment hidden offshore. SPLC is like the mafia. Corrupt. Very important statement from Eagle Ed Martin 4 days ago. Yeah, 22nd, 5 days ago, Marine Corps math. Because Mafia, Rico. And before I forget, I saw the new Pruitt put, hey, can you do a special on Tina Peters? I actually did one a few months ago. It's a 3-part series. Did it in collaboration with CanCon. Mark Cook came on there for some stuff. Ash in America was on there. They were very long episodes, phenomenal. But in there was also a call to action and instructions on how to facilitate that, because I do remember your question earlier. Also, keep tuning in your prayers. There's some scuttlebutt that was put in front of me 2 days ago that we might even be able to see her freedom before mid-June-ish. I don't have a way to corroborate that, but let's pray that that's true. Let's definitely pray for that. And regardless, we need to keep her in our prayers. That woman is a hero. And if somebody does want to grab that series from my Rumble channel and drop it in the chat, absolutely don't mind. But again, Ed Martin comes out and makes this statement. Significant. We need to pay attention. We're down to about the last 20 minutes of the show. For those that are curious, how long is this going to go, Alpha? I'd say 20, 25 minutes. JTC53 puts, wow, forgot about this one. Elon knew. This is back in October of last year. Elon puts, SPLC is guilty of incitement to murder Charlie Kirk. Bro. Remember earlier in the show when I said pay attention to the crimes you're going to see listed? You think Elon coming out in October of last year and making the statement, SPLC is guilty of incitement to murder Charlie Kirk? You forget what Elon was a part of? Doge? What was Doge doing? It was exposing the globalist deep state mechanism that exists in this country. This is a big deal. This is a damn big deal. It sucks the money laundering all that went, but what the purposes of that money laundering was for and the crimes that were committed, a whole lot of birds going to be singing. When does a bird sing? Laura Luma puts out there, whether you like or not, this is solid. Candace Owens had abruptly canceled her show today and travel abroad. She never alerted her audience of her travel plans. Interesting how she's fleeing the country the same day I reported that her Zionist Jewish lawyer dropped her ahead of an important deadline in her lawsuit from the Macrons next week. Remember, I exposed her secret trust where she's hiding nearly $12 million in real estate, among other assets? Her other lawyer's firm specializes in bankruptcies. Is she moving her money abroad and hiding assets abroad so that she can file for bankruptcy? She's fleeing the country. Laura Loomer on fire when it comes to Candace. Absolutely love it. And then if that wasn't enough, Trump came out swinging. Candace Owens' stock, which was very high, has fallen a long way. Her attack on First Lady of France is despicable. I believe in this case, without verification, she is extremely low IQ individual. And he put a crackhead photo that was circulating out there of Candace. Candace Owens lies, uses rich white men. Sorry, I'm tired too. My mouth is sticking. Of course, Rapid Response 47 would put that truth post out into the X-verse. Claire Patriot puts, you won't believe who just popped up in Italy. Remember Audrey Lish, the ex-TP USA employee we all suspected leaked to Candace Owens? Fired, drops a 12-minute takedown video blasting the whole operation, then ends up featured on Candace's podcast. And now she's there too? What in the world is going on in Italy? Well, for those that don't know, Operation Gladio was birthed in Italy. Are the roosters coming back? How's that statement go? The roosters back or the hens back to the house? Someone help me. My brain just died on that one. Very interesting. We're not done. Let's put some more pieces together. Owie and Carol. In light of David Wilcott's recent tragic death, I just want to check in and say I'm safe and okay. Taking a break from the internet for personal reasons. And I'll talk more about soon. Mental health is fine. I'm not suicidal. Love my family and life. I haven't received any threats and I have no reason to be concerned for my safety. Just wanted to check in as a lot of homies have reached out concerned. I'll be back soon. God bless all the patriots that are speaking up for truth in these effed up times. Love you all. See you soon. I got my comments that I'll make, but let's keep going. It should be noted that both Sneeko and Nick Fuentes have not streamed since the news of Southern Poverty Law Center funding extremist groups. Is this a coincidence or are they in some trouble? After all, Fuentes was a Unite the Right member with the SPLC was paying. And there's the degenerate Sneeko on the left and the clown Fuentes on the right. Let's keep going. We ain't done yet. Kabobi puts goodbye. Who's he talking about? Junior. And that's it, folks. It was nice knowing you. Thank you to Nikita Beer for targeting me. Shout out Nikita over there on X. You are doing the Lord's work, brother. Keep double down. And what's he talking about? Revenue sharing. Monetization paused. Your account is no longer eligible for payouts due to violations of the Creator Revenue Sharing Program policies. This gets better. Kosher puts out, I can't stop laughing. Junior is absolutely begging Nikita Bear to have his monetization reinstated. Didn't Junior say he was a multimillionaire? Why does he seem so pathetically desperate? He did say that. What are you talking about? So Junior would DM Nikita, and this is what he wrote. Hey, Nikita, it's Junior from X. Figured I'd try to reach out here as well. I'm removing 80 plus posts of mine that received community notes, and I'm actively auditing the rest of my account to ensure everything aligns fully with platform standards. I've made a hard decision to pivot completely yesterday. Going forward, I will only post original, accurate, and verifiable content, no exceptions. Please give me a chance, brother. I beg you. So he knows he was not posting verifiable content. He knows he wasn't posting accurate content, and he knows he wasn't posting original content. I want to take full responsibility for what happened. I understand where I went wrong, and I recognize why the platform had to take action. That's on me. I let the pressure of growth and performance push me away from the standards I should have respected, and I'm correcting that immediately and permanently. Let's keep going because this is so gold. X as a social media platform matters to me. Not just financially, but because the scale, the voice, and the ability to build something meaningful here. I've proven I can generate massive reach and engagement, but now I'm focused on doing it the right way, within the rules, and in a way that actually adds value to X long term. What I'm asking for is simple. One final opportunity to demonstrate that shift. You won't see the same mistakes again. You'll see discipline, originality, and the content that aligns with the platform's vision. I'm committed to rebuilding trust properly and earning my place back here. Thank you for your time, Junior. And then he would go and put, I'm banned from X. Proceeds to literally post a video on it. I'm banned from X. No, you're not. He was in the past violating terms, like many people were. But he's not banned here. He's demonetized. What are we talking about here? And this guy is confirming what I've said about all of these clowns. Let me bring it back before we go into that one. These guys, you know, what did he say? I'm a Muslim Palestinian and I was banned on X. You weren't banned on X because you're a Muslim or Palestinian. You're banned on X for the stuff you already owned. You owned it. You said, I take responsibility. Stop lying. These guys are out there monetizing off the atrocities that did happen in Gaza. Why? If X cut my monetization, wouldn't stop me from posting. If Rumble cut my monetization, wouldn't stop me from posting. We're doing it for forever and we're getting paid for it. It was an expense. Because these guys don't believe in the cause. It's always been. These are the grifters that are going against MAGA. These are the people telling you it's just the Jews. Never want to mention the jihadis because it's about the numbers of people that they or the clicks and the algorithm and how it worked. And now they're begging like dogs. Absolutely glorious. Bringing it back to Laura Loomer, Mark Kasowitz, the Zionist Jewish lawyer who Candace Owens hired to represent her in the defamation case, filed against her by Bridget McCrone and Emmanuel McCrone, just withdrew as the lead counsel on Candace's legal team. He is no longer representing her as counsel. The withdrawal comes days after I exposed how Candace Owens hired a Zionist Jewish lawyer who also represents President Trump, despite talking about how much she hates Zionists, bashes Jews, and smears President Trump with defamatory comments on her podcast every day. The case is Macron versus Owens. Trump lawyer Kasowitz leaves Candace Owens' team in the Macron case. Now, for all of you Candace simps, this is a 100% factual statement. And this shows Candace Owens' hypocrisy. So she'll say that these Zionists are evil, that they're demons, that they're the bad people, the enemy, destroying America. But she'll hire one to represent her. She trashes on President Trump, but she'll hire the same attorney that represent him. These people have no principle. They have no character. These are your shills, operatives, grifts, assets, and worse. And you're seeing it. This is real time. This is indefensible. Data Republican, to bring it back, because remember, we're still talking about Southern Poverty Law Center here. Thread, how the Charlottesville rally and SPLC birthed an entire $1 billion plus democracy ecosystem, 11 federal counts, wire fraud, money laundering conspiracy. But here's what the SPLC headlines are missing. The indictment describes a paid informant in the leadership chat that planned Unite the Right. That informant helped coordinate transportation to the rally and SPLC's direction. There is one publicly identified organizer whose documented role was transportation coordinator. His Discord posts about running over protesters were made 26 days before Heather Heyer was killed by a car. The indictment says posts were made under the supervision of SPLC. Charlottesville then became the founding event for a $1 billion political machine. SPLC installed itself as the machine's definitional gatekeeper. I report, you draw your own conclusions. As always, patience as I put together the thread. Let's keep going. Guitar Non 17 says, there you have it. Thomas Rousseau, founder of Patriots Front, participated in the Charlottesville riots and was involved with SPLC-funded neo-Nazi organizations that eventually morphed into Patriots Front. Fucking clown. Enjoy the show. It's literally all fake and gay. This one was pretty easy. We all called that one from the onset. But what else do we got? Well, what do we have here? SPLC staged Charlottesville. Charlottesville gives rise to Fuentes. Fuentes is Anop trying to demoralize and divide the right? Nah. The SPLC would never. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it Charlottesville that put Nick Fuentes on the map? Was he being paid by SLPC? Student who attended Charlottesville white supremacist rally leaves Boston University after backlash. The more you know. And then to bring it back to the misfit, the reason why Joe Rogan still gets invited to the White House, let me just let you listen to him.
Okay, Tucker Carlson used Trump. Megyn Kelly used Trump. Alex Jones used Trump. All of these people used Trump, and they know that Trump is not going to be president in 2028. They have they hit too soon, Junior. Okay, this pivot that all of them are doing, all of this panic and stuff. Again, I've said this before. We've talked about this so much because it's so important. But look, here's the deal. The reason why they are all spurging out is because they know they messed up when they turned on Trump and Trump called them out. Then they see somebody reasonable-ish like Joe Rogan who gets invited to the White House and they go, how? Oh, I don't know. Maybe he didn't call him the friggin' Antichrist. Maybe he didn't try to invoke the 25th Amendment. Maybe he just hasn't been shitting on him nonstop and making every single one of his episodes about the Jews. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why Joe Rogan still gets responses when he texts the president and you don't. Jew hate, brain rot, shut the F up, and take your L. You might be able to salvage it by the end of his term if you start apologizing now.
The most important statement he made there that I like. Trump understands the difference between a critic and a fucking snake. Abso-freaking-lutely. There's a difference between people who maybe are playing a role and people who are trying to do subversion. To wrap this part up, and then we'll get into the final segment. There's a Charlie Kirk message for everything being uncovered. The man was wise beyond his years. And back in February of 2023, Charlie Kirk posted, the SPLC is a hate group. And then President Trump would have these words to share about Charlie.
This was such a good guy. You know probably very well. I assume you knew him very well, right? He was a great guy.
Not as well as you, but yes.
No, but he was a great person. He really was a great person. I actually said, Charlie, someday I think you have a good chance of being president. I think you will be president, maybe. And I think he would have had a great chance. He was very compelling. I've never seen anybody capture a group of people like he captured youth. He captured youth. It was incredible. You know, when I say he was a young guy, but I'm talking about the 20-year-olds and the 18-year-olds. It was like he had a following that was incredible.
Some interesting statements that the president made there. So how does all this show us that the deep state operations are falling apart? Again, the mechanisms being exposed. You have people that are taking flights, not doing their podcasts because who knows what excuse they're going to give. But one of the most evidentiary signs is what we've seen happen over the last 48 hours. What am I talking about? When they turn on each other. Dave Smith post, oh no, the dork famous for taking selfies with boat hose called me subversive. I absolutely never told Jake Shields that I was scared. Who would say that about themselves? I was aware that you wanted to connect. I wasn't very interested because you're retarded. Clear? Who's Dave Smith, the comic, talking to? Well, that'd be Dan Bilzerian. Both guys that I've called out. What did Dan Bilzerian post? He goes, you are subversive, lying Jew. Jake Shields said you were scared. Everything I said was a fact. You ducked the conversation and then lied about doing so. This is going to be good. Dave Smith says, you're actually a fucking liar. I never told a single human being that I'm scared of you. I told several that I think you're dumb. And he was replying to Dan's saying, no, I said you're ducking a good faith conversation because you told multiple people that you were scared to talk to me, which is odd because we agree on so many things. Anyway, I sent you a DM. These people are, listen, when morale starts to collapse and turn into despair, and they can no longer affect our movement, they start to fall apart. This is essentially what I wrote. The signs of the deep state falling apart are everywhere. Now their own puppets are turning on each other. This is what morale collapse looks like when it turns into despair. They wanted this to happen to MAGA. They wanted fallout. They wanted fracture. They wanted patriots divided, demoralized, and attacking each other. So they pushed fake MAGA actors, grifters, controlled voices, and chaos agents into the movement to create confusion from the inside. But we saw it. We recognized the pattern. We knew who was real, who was performing, who was profiting, and who was sent to fracture the base. They failed. Now the same people who consistently attack Trump and MAGA are turning their fire on each other. Enjoy the show. The deep state is crumbling. Eagle Ed Martin says the OG hoax is Watergate. Fake news plus deep state plus elites equals take out POTUS. Almost worked on Donald Trump, but fight, fight, fight. What I found interesting in this post here was the OG hoax is Watergate. And given the position Eagle Ed Martin has and the information that he's probably privy to, I wonder if he's telling us that this is the window of how far back they're going to go into these RICO cases and Watergate being the foundation. I find it very interesting. The OG hoax is Watergate. I think we'll see. General Flynn puts, sounds sort of like subversion or treason to me. What does everyone else believe? I do know one thing. If these people are not held accountable, their behavior will never change and they will try to get away with it even worse. And he's referencing James Wood post. They failed Russia hoax was designed to give causation to a bogus impeachment. Here, however, they have actual collusion between a United States senator and representatives of a nation state enemy. What should be punishment if true? After stonewalling for days, Senator Chris Murphy finally admits he secretly met with the Iranian regime in Munich. Heads are going to roll, folks. And this is just phenomenal. Julie Donuts puts, wow, President Trump posts this video for the third time. Obama will be arrested. Hold on. It's timing absolutely guaranteed. And I agree with her, even though my counterpart on DEF CON thinks he won't.
It should shake every single American in their shoes. I hate to say this, but President Barack Obama, there is now incontrovertible evidence that he was the spearhead of a seditious conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people and overthrow the United States government back in 2016. We must, absolutely must, hold every one of these criminals accountable for the crimes that they committed. They are the most heinous crimes committed in American history. James Comey, John Brennan, Clapper, Rice, Biden was in the meeting in July 28th in the Oval Office. They briefed Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton's plan to, quote, tie Trump to Russia collusion lies. It consumed our national discourse for 5 years. It undermined a sitting duly elected president. It sabotaged administration. It framed a three-star general. It destroyed and ripped this country apart. We had a constitutional crisis, the likes of which I don't think any American can fully comprehend. It is atrocious, and every single one of them must be held accountable.
And then we get this one. Pepe Deluxe puts, I think President Trump is trying to tell us something. Sips coffee.
Jackals. Hyenas. They're barking at him, laughing at him. They nip his toes and eat the food that's in his domain. They do this, and they get closer and closer and bolder, till one day, that lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody, runs like the wind, eats everything in his path. Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is.
Jumped the gun. That video was actually for the next one, but it's okay. I wasn't going to let it play because it's in line with what we're talking about here. But here's the post from Donald Trump. He put a screenshot of Steve Rambert's tag to Barack Obama. I hope they arrest you before your grand opening of your war bunker in South Side of Chicago. You committed treason targeting the president of the United States with Hillary Clinton. It's time we prosecuted someone for treason and send a message. Now, here's the part that I want you guys to catch. Let me zoom in. I don't see enough people talking about this, and it's just fascinating to me. How many views? I don't make this shit up, folks. Trump posted it. Now, was he sitting there saying, wait till it has 17 to take a screenshot, or did it just kind of sit there and rest? I think that thing probably has more than 17 views, but 17 views is when our president decided to use that screenshot. And then, of course, Quantum Guard puts the Gitmo lists those who betrayed the United States of America. Where they go one, they go all. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Pelosi, Podesta, Brennan, Comey, Watershift, Biden, Bush, Fauci, Aberdeen, Gates, Weiner, Soros, Graham, McConnell, McCarthy, Schumer, Harris, Mueller, Pence, Biden, Clapper, Austin, Cheney, Kerry, Soros, Lynch, McKay, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, James Baker, Holder, Podesta, Susan Rice, Harry Reid, Paul Ryan, Debbie Welchman, Schultz, Sally Yates, Mitt Romney, Jerry Nadler, Klaus Schwab, Michelle Obama, Mike, Sally Yates, Andrew Cuomo, Herbert Raymond McMaster, Deborah Birx, Mark Zuckerberg, Nikki Haley. And that was the video that we just listened to. And then we get this from Julie Donuts again. He already testified in front of a grand jury. They are just waiting for the timing to arrest him. This is the deep state's peace, folks. It is going to hit the fan in the deep state when this man gets arrested.
It just shows that over the past 10 years, there's been, failure after failure to try to identify something that, wrongdoing in this case. But, part of this is to harass, to try to hurt individuals reputationally, professionally, financially, trying to keep the story alive as a way to deflect from other issues and challenges that they face. So again, I'm not surprised by this. I'm very dismayed and disappointed by it. I'm also very troubled that we have people in government who seem to be so mean-spirited that they try to hurt individuals, hurt people, their families, and others. And they claim to be part of the Republican Party. This is not the Republican Party that I work with or that you worked with. There are people of integrity who never would have thought the Department of Justice would have fallen as far as it has. And so, again, every day when I wake up, there's something new that I just find just being so surreal and separated from the government and the reality that I worked in for 33 plus years. But again, I take every day as it comes.
So, folks, I see some great questions in the Rumble Rants, and I can't wait to get to the Rumble Rants. And we're almost there, folks. We're almost there. Bring your seats upright, put your folding chairs away, make sure that you don't have your feet in the aisles. However that goes when we're on the planes. McAvoy says, I'm bawling my eyes out. President Trump, I want to live. Make this. This one is very emotionally. This is going to move you. The next clip's going to piss you off, but this one's going to move you. It's just a few seconds.
Believe me, because, it's my life, and I want to live because I want to make this country great. That's why I want to live. But when you're impactful, they go after you. When you're not impactful, they leave you alone.
I want to live. The amount of times that they have tried to kill this man. Megan McCain puts out, I'm so deeply sick of Jimmy Kimmel and the hate he spreads in this world, referencing Libby Emmons. Jimmy Kimmel delivered a fake White House Correspondents' Dinner speech saying, and I'll let you guys listen to yourself, this one is going to piss you off, especially after what you just heard our boss say.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
What do you say about that other than that he needs his ass kicked? Hypothetically speaking, of course. But here's the answer. Breaking: Justice Department announced it's readopting the firing squad as a means of execution. Those found guilty of treason and murder and etc., after they go through a just trial and are found guilty by their peers or military tribunal panel. This is definitely a fate that would make people FAFO, right? Laura Loomer brings out protester who attempted to ram President Trump's vehicle motorcade while shooting took place tonight at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Was wearing a kayif, however you say that. If this was a Muslim-inspired shooting by a Palestinian or Iranian, people must be made to pay severely. Again, the people that just have this atrocious behavior doesn't surprise you when you see one of those around their neck. Brendan Herrera puts, at what point will the left and the media admit responsibility for direct correlation between their hyperbolic rhetoric and people trying to murder our effing president? It's honestly absurd at this point. I'm going to play this one real quick because a lot of people out there that are saying, I didn't hear any gunfire. So listen for yourself. One more time. Listen right at the beginning of the clip. Again, if you want my full breakdown of my assessment of the actual CCTV footage and not the AI one that made its rounds to people like Benny Johnson and others, you can watch that on the first part of Q After Hours last night on Badlands. We spent a good probably 30-40 minutes addressing that in detail. Dan Scavino puts, never thought I'd be hitting the ground again after Butler, Pennsylvania as a result of the shots being fired. Brings back a lot of terrible memories. I'm so thankful to everyone in attendance tonight that is okay. We're all in this together. Stay strong. Nick Sorter says, breaking close-up video of Vice President J.D. Vance being forcefully pulled out of the White House Correspondents' Dinner following shots fired. Thankful for these guys. Swift action. 100% agree with him on that. And then POTUS slams. After all that, this is the audacity that they have during the interview. 60 minutes. I love that he dropped the hammer on her disgraceful, nasty ass like that. Absolutely obliterated her. And I love that. The fact that our first lady and our POTUS, after all the shit they've been subjected to, it's like, come on, man. Now, who is really being saved for last? This part's going to piss some people off, and some are going to consider it controversial, but that's okay because we'll end on a controversial note. We'll do our Rumble rants. I got a cool video lined up for you. It's an old one. Not that old, but some of you will recognize it. We'll say our prayer on the outsies. But let's trigger some people. Many of you would say, Alpha, the board say saving Israel for last. And I would respond to you, they do. And then I would also ask you, do the boards also tell you that disinformation, misinformation is part of the operation? And if you answer honestly, you would say, yes, Alpha, you're right about that too. And then I would say, well, which ones are misinformation? Which ones are disinformation? Now, with that leading into this conversation, if you believe, as I do, that this board is part of a military operation, and I've planned operations, not to that magnitude, I would never, ever, ever tell you who my last target of my operation is. Because then as things start to fall apart, you would know, okay, now it's coming up on me, and I'd be able to set up my defensive posture. Now, I would tell you who maybe my second to the last target is to throw you off. I would tell you maybe who my third target is to throw you off. But I would never tell you who the last target is. So with that understanding, do I believe the Israeli intelligence network, Mossad IDF, is one of the last targets? Absolutely. But if you ask me, well, then who is the last target? Well, they've been showing, if you've been listening. And this is what I will say. 3 books already that have come from General Flynn and Boone Cutler. Rest in peace, Boone Cutler. And I want to recap this because we do have some new people watching. 5th Generation Warfare was the first book. And we saw the atmosphere that followed the delivery of this book. 5G warfare, psychological operations became very common subject matters in our community. Following that book was the biggest of the 3 so far, which was this one, the artificial intelligence one. And then within about 6 to 8 months following the release of this book, we saw the mainstream push of AI commercially amongst all of us. And then came this book, The Role of the Church. And if you haven't read it, the title, don't think it's isolated to that. It brings a lot of the first one, especially, back into place with this one. But then we saw probably about 8 months to a year, the religious spirituality, we're kind of especially in that mode right now. And there's a fourth book, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be released. I don't know when. But within that book, a portion of that book specifically identifies subjects relating to this. China. Ed Martin says, I'm slow to read this book. Really well done as per usual for Leave. Read and get wiser. Posted that on April 20th. General Flynn posted this. The whistleblower report is so explosive, it should shake the foundations of the USIC and those who were running the ODNI and the CIA during the first Trump administration. Should immediately be brought in for questioning by the DOJ. Catherine Hettridge cuts no corners in her exceptional reporting on this article, and this article is no exception. Quote, according to these accounts, the CIA, then led by Director Gina Haspel, would not document the Chinese influence operations in a formal way, out of concern that President Trump would use the intelligence to his advantage, end of quote. You want fair elections in America? Make sure the CIA has no role whatsoever. Exclusive whistleblower alleges 2020 CCP election influence ops targeting Trump were suppressed. The Red Dragon is the final boss. And my speculation, I want to be very clear, my speculation, because nobody has told me this, my speculation using these books as part of the formula for my kind of time frame is that when the general releases the fourth book, which has at least a part that addresses the Red Dragon, China, I think we will see ourselves somewhere between 6 months to 8 months in some type of battle with them. Whether it's actually something kinetic, whether it's something of guerrilla warfare that they're doing here and we're doing there, whatever the case may be, there's going to be some type of conflict that's undeniable that's unfolding. Whether it's the escalation, because remember, there's an AI race between them. All these wars that you see going on, one of the main things involved with them is this war of energy, or our, to who's going to be the big daddy when it comes to artificial superintelligence. That's what a lot of this has to do with. And as we continue to squeeze out China, as we've been doing, and like I said, for what they said, there's a sovereign alliance. I'll address that here shortly. That's going to lead to the evolution of what's coming next in whatever this conflict with China looks like. Who is the final boss? And this will happen before the end of this Trump presidency. Now, regarding the sovereign alliance, I do believe there's a sovereign alliance. I do believe that Xi is trying to operate with Trump. I do believe Putin is, but there is a deep state that operates within China, and we call that the CCP. Those operatives are deployed right now on social media platforms. And if I was the CCP, I would want everybody focused on Israel too. I would want to get the truth community in America, the American patriots, the digital soldiers, I would want them all absolutely focused on just Israel, as they didn't see what I was doing to their country. They would never look to see if I had a relationship with Massey. They would never go and research, how has Massey voted against China? Oh, wow. Why does he always vote soft against China? They would never look for that because they'd all be too focused looking at AIPAC. And again, we need to look at AIPAC. We need to look at Israeli influence into the United States. But do not forget The Red Dragon. Pete Santilli, first man to air my story. Greatest president. President Trump reads 2 Chronicles 7:11-22. All this trash that they talk about President Trump, and he's right there reading the Bible. None of them want to talk about that. And then General Flynn, pray for our president. That was a couple of days ago. And the last one, to end on some humor. And then we'll get into the Rumble Rants, our prayer, and then our exit video. For all the panicans out there, find yourself an anon. Because this video is you guys. Look at the panicans. Look at the panicans. Let's rewind. Hold on. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm drowning. I'm panicking. I'm drowning. That's the panicans right there. That's Faga. And then here comes the anons. Look, no. Hey, listen, look stupid. Stand up. Oh. That is fantastic. Absolutely love it. Let's bring these Rumble Rants up on the boards. Actually, we had one super chat, so let's do the super chat first since there's only one over there on YouTube. This one comes from Bev Miller 4643, $5 super chat. With Google, etc., censoring, how can we do honest research? Coach us, Alpha. Actually, me and Josh have a course that we're going to be putting together on that specifically to help people out. So stay tuned to, I actually think we're going to talk about that on Overwatch and the Guardian on Thursday. So make sure you tune in Thursday night because we actually have a couple of things that we're going to be doing, but we actually have a course that's going to help with this. And I'm actually going to provide some insight with regards to the detective background and how I kind of look at some of these things and just understanding the difference between something that's circumstantial versus something that's evidence versus something that's just information. To help you guys kind of develop these analysis and assessment, essentially what we do. So great question, Bev Miller. So make sure you catch this Thursday's Overwatch and the Guardian. I believe we're going to cover that on that show. Now, let me bring on the Rumble Rants. 1 second. And then I'll zoom in on these so you guys can see them. We got a couple in here tonight. Thank you guys for supporting this show. Nobody owns it, so it's all funded by you guys, sponsors, affiliates, and partnerships. So let's do like Kim K and start from the bottom. Now we're her. $5 coming in from Moo Mama 18. I'm in the hospital for a kidney stone. Oof, ouch, Moo Mama. Prayers for you. Thank you, Alpha, for your show. It's helping me stay in the loop while high on morphine. My nurse is a subscriber too. No way. No way. Shout out to your nurse. Nurse, if you're watching and Moo Mama 18 is resting, take care of our fellow patriot, please. $5 from Tal22. Alpha, have you and Josh had conversations of Suicide Weekend? Any wild guesses of who and the potential count? We've had these conversations. Maybe no, we're not going to talk. Maybe Q after hours. I'm going to write a note here because Tal, I'll forget if I don't write it down. Suicide Weekend or Suicide Week. Sorry. And count. So something that Q after hours, Tal. We'll give that a shout. 17 Keck from Bam Medic. Hey Alpha. I'm a firefighter in SoCal. Near you, I believe. You guys have any Patriot meetup groups? I need a network of like-minded people. It's getting rough out here. As a matter of fact, we do, and it's a very large group known as SoCal Badlanders. Email me, Bad Medic, and I'll get you into that group. The email you can reach me at is alpha@thealphawarrior.tv. So alpha at the alphawarrior show.tv. So alpha@thealphawarrior show.tv. And I'll connect you with those people. It's a big group, and they actually do meetups every month at different places in SoCal. That way, SoCal's huge. But yeah, Bad Medic could definitely connect you with that group. Josh about the firefighters. No, it wasn't. I'm lying. Got to keep integrity. $2, Keith O'Higgins. Disclaimer: If Hung Cao commissions an armada of armored Vietnamese basket boats, we will know he will float your boat long time. That's why you get the disclaimer. $2, Keith O'Higgins disclaimer. A 5-headed conspiracy sounds like the guy with 5 penises. I heard his pants fit like a glove. Keith, you need help. Dollar for dollar from Flo. One or one you and Misfit would be an interesting show. Oh, gotcha. I can see what you're saying, Flo. It would be an interesting show. I'd definitely be some comedy in there, I'm sure. $10 from Jay Sugunasia. Give us a gut feeling of where we will be in 6 months with all of this. You don't have to get my gut feeling. Jay Sugunasia, Substack. I did an article. It's free. What is the plan? And actually broke down all the phases of what things would look like. So don't even have to guess on that, Jay. Go take a look at that. And I think it'll answer a lot of questions. Then it'll build the model for you. So when you see these markers, you'll kind of recognize what phase we're in. And if one of you guys want to grab that Substack article and drop it in the chat, I would definitely appreciate that while I'm doing this. $17 from Miss Rhea Freedom Fighter. I am a widow. That is a disgusting comment. And I'm sorry in so many ways, Miss Rhea Freedom Fighter. You know I love you. $10 from Flying Storm. What you think, Alpha? Maybe. They set the press conference up like they did. How to catch one of these patsies to get to the bottom of who's doing these attacks. Let me think about that one, Storm. Let me think about that one. I got to be careful how I answer that. $10 from Wingnuts91. If you listen closely to Hung Cao, you can hear him say, I recovered JFK Jr. and his plane. As for the rest of the show, they won't be able to walk down the street. Great show tonight. Thanks. And we did go back and listen the second time, and you're right. He said I recovered JFK Jr. He didn't put body in there. So I definitely agree with you on that, Wingnuts. $2, Keith O'Higgins disclaimer. Trump is a master of branding and marketing. The Donald should have a new rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner just prior to the UFC fight on the front lawn as an appetizer. I wouldn't be against that, Keith. I wouldn't. $10 coming in. Last Rumble Rent from Wingnuts91. How many of the media do you think were arrested Saturday night while the distraction was going on outside? How many do you think will flip? You're the best. God bless. Well, here's the thing. You only need 2 or 3 to flip. To give you the obviously the more the better, but 2 or 3 is going to give you the data set, especially if they're not in cahoots with each other. That'll collaborate the information you have out there. And again, it's just to work your way up. So you don't want to give everybody a pass. So, but I would say there are people that were put in the media that are doing their job because they already flipped. At least my speculation. Who knows? Maybe I could be wrong about that. So, folks, that concludes our show. I'm going to close out in prayer, and then I have the closeout video for us. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to have Sean Taylor on here. We're going to talk about Act Blue. We're going to get the update from him. And then I'm going to bring up something else that I think he will definitely enjoy talking about it. So that'll be a live show tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. And then at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, you'll have me and Josh on DEF CON, the hottest show on Tuesday nights. You don't want to miss that. And then please, if you're new, smash the thumb, hit the heart, leave a comment, subscribe. The content is free. And on Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern is the live show with Colonel Towner, where we'll be coming Operation Gladio. And she got some pretty cool news. If she hasn't shared it, I don't want to be the one to let the cat out of the bag. So I'll let her do that on Wednesday if she's prepared to give that news. And then a last one coming in from $1 for $1 from Flo. Sorry, I was at a red light. Please don't give me a ticket. Flo, don't be doing that. Well, you had a red light, but still, don't be doing that. Pull over, get in the parking lot. Be careful. Need you to be around here. No accidents. So with that, you guys, actually, let's do our last ad, and then we'll close out in prayer. Here's one we haven't done in a while. Let me see. Emerald Med. You'll see this QR code populate on the screen if you're watching on the Rumble platform. If it's thinking, it's taking its sweet time. There we go. Here we go. I want to share about a farming family supporting this channel. 8 years ago, their brother returned from Afghanistan with significant injuries and lost his ability to function. We can't share his exact story because of FDA restrictions, but friends kept suggesting CBD. So they tried dozens of CBD products, but nothing helped. Out of frustration, they began to create their own. They started making it to help friends, family have CBD that they knew was clean as possible and powerful. Then doctors started asking to carry it, and it took off. Now they speak at medical conventions and help others across the US. While most companies have 1 to 10 compounds in CBD oil, their oil has up to 50. They have 8 things that make their products different. They make balms, gummy, pet products, etc. They're called Emerald Med. You should check these guys out. If you get their CBD and don't notice a big difference, they'll actually provide a refund. If you want to support a business that supports our channel and free speech with marketing dollars, and if you need a source for CBD that's real, they're running a special right now because it's their company's anniversary. You can click the link below to try Emerald Med, 40% off today. 40%, that's nice. Get extreme muscle and joint relief, get significant inflammation, circulation support, support quality sleep, or even a daytime calm. They're worth a try at least once. Just click the link below and use the code for 40% off up to 2 items today. That is solid, folks. And again, that QR code's on the screen or the link in the description if you want to come over to Rumble later to catch it. And so with that now, let's close our night out in prayer, and then we'll get to the exit video. Father, thank you for another day of life. I ask you to continue to watch over my family, especially my little one. Father, I ask you to watch over my son as he gets ready to graduate. Keep him safe, guide his mind. Father, there's a lot of parents tonight that are probably watching that have kids that are going to graduate. Keep all our children in safety. Keep them at peace and don't let them enjoy their last senior year and not stress. Father, we have a Patriot member that was in the hospital for a kidney stone. I ask that you bring them comfort and quick healing. Father, I also ask that you hear all the prayers spoken and unspoken tonight. And that if you can remedy people's pain or illnesses, that you do so. And if you can't because it's part of their testimony, I ask that you at least let them feel your presence and strength. Father, watch over this nation, protect our president, protect those that are protecting our president, and help us with our discernment. We pray and we ask all this in your son, Jesus' name. Amen. Well, folks, I enjoyed your company. 4 hours. We went about a half hour too long, but it is what it is. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, smash the thumb, hit the heart, leave a comment, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Enjoy this exit video. It was a perfect one to match our teaser video that we started with. See you guys tomorrow night. Good night. God bless.
There are many people in the world who really don't understand. Freedom has many difficulties, but we have never had to put a wall up to keep our people in. Freedom is indivisible. And when one man is enslaved, all are not free.
Modern war has become a struggle for men's minds as well as for their bodies. Today we face an enemy who spends enormous sums of money and manpower all over the globe in an attempt to subvert the thinking of the people of the free world, to confuse, divide, and ultimately to subjugate.
It is a contest unlike any we have ever faced in our history as a nation.
Contest for the minds and hearts of people around the world, all people.
When power corrupts, poetry cleanses. We must never forget that art is not a form of propaganda. It is a form of truth.
Psychologists find that control of emotion can be gained by understanding the stimulus-response pattern. Many everyday things become associated with these primary stimuli, partly by a process called conditioning.
It's a strange, shadowy world. The doctored photograph, the misquotation, the insinuation, and the lie.
I think of fire in connection with emotion. Cause, effect.
You've got to get a hold of yourself.
We have to work together. You have to help.
We'll light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world.
Yes, in modern warfare, our military leaders are finding that words and ideas are highly effective weapons.